Welcome back to Splice and Splatter for the second time around, the gay podcast where classic horror
meets modern gore.
I feel like since it's still Pride Month, we have to keep that in for one more episode.
It absolutely is. But this one is your big gay
My big gay birthday episode. And I actually do think there are, at least in my film for this pairing, there are certainly some queer undertones. But they're also just both movies about like so much like kink and sad sex that I feel like they still belong in the. I think what was it that I said in our group text?
Oh my god, I know,
like,
and I laughed out loud to that
Good.
one too.
The like queer sad sex, sibling issues, and doppelgängers pairing.
Yeah, all of your favorite things.
all my favorite things. Yeah. And I was holding myself back from saying, well, first of all, what are we covering?
Oh my gosh, yes. Yeah, what were your picks for your birthday? Which if anyone listened to the like middle of our last episode, Siena had quite
an
the
epiphany.
Choice to make. Yeah.
Al gifted me, and what a gift it was, with the film that I covered for this pairing, ironically. For those who are listening to their first Splice and Splatter birthday episode, around each of our birthdays, the episode that falls closest to it, the birthday person picks two films for us to cover that are like things we might not cover otherwise. And so we're covering Dead Ringers from 1988 and
Don't Look Now from 1975.
Yes, which is Don't Look Now I knew I was going to do because it came out on the same double billing as The Wicker Man, which we covered a couple episodes ago, and it was like the really publicized one of the pairing.
Yes, yeah.
So it was on my mind from that, and I was like, that definitely is the sort of film that like I don't think we would cover on the podcast unless it were a Siena's birthday pick.
Sure.
And I was originally going to do a different film, and then Al mentioned Dead Ringers when they were guessing what I'd picked, and it made me change my entire plan, and I'm so glad. And also, I'm a little nervous because I had been planning to do... I had been planning to cover Don't Look Now in this pairing, and I was going to give you the other film. And I got so excited when you said Dead Ringers that I like greedily kept it to myself and threw that out the window.
Yeah.
And I like, as we were, I like had Dana watch these films with me, which like we don't always have time to do, but she, like, we both turned to each other partway through Don't Look Now, which we watched second, and we're like, oh no. Why did you take Dead Ringers and give Al Don't Look Now? Al's gonna hate this.
Funny.
So I'm hoping that's not the case, but I'm a little terrified that I gave you the harder film of the two to like get into.
Oh my gosh. What was also corrections corner? 1973 is Don't Look Now, not 75. Thank you, Trav. I don't know where I got the number from.
No worries.
But what was the other film that you were gonna pick besides
I was going to do Picnic at Hanging Rock, which I love, and we should definitely still cover sometime because it's beautiful and creepy. I actually, though, I'm going to put a pin in this for next year because it takes place over Valentine's Day, so it might be a good Valentine's episode pairing.
Write it down. Noted.
Yeah.
Valentine's is like notoriously kind of hard and
it's
like
very
fun
difficult
to pick weird things.
Yeah.
For,
and it's like a very romantic, pretty horror film too, so like it would be a good one for that time. So I think its time will come. Do not fear, we will cover it at some point. But I'm really glad that I got to revisit Dead Ringers, and I actually just updated my Letterboxd top 4 and put Dead Ringers in there.
Really? That's fun.
Yeah, I love it so much, and I'm so glad you mentioned it.
Yeah, I know, because again, you've mentioned it over the course. Like anyone who's like
so much,
it's always comes up, and it's so funny when like these films we talk about and like kind of just or like one day, and it's so fun to finally have like the one day finally be upon us. So
and it's one that I'm sure we would have covered even if it weren't for my birthday, but I'm glad I get to keep it to myself.
Yeah. No, I'm so excited to kind of hear your love of these movies, because I had seen neither. Which is always really fun when you bring in your birthday picks, because again, it's like that's what I love about doing this podcast with you specifically.
And
you know, because it's always you know, it's just nice to have an opportunity to watch things that I have not or I've heard of prior, or you know, yada yada,
that aren't like the things we would normally select for ourselves for one reason or another.
There's so many good things out there. It's just
I
like it's sometimes
know,
hard to
it's
pick and choose.
overwhelming.
Yeah.
And it's like I think there's so much in each of our respective horror lanes that
Oh
like
my
it's
God,
a good time to like veer in the opposite
Mhm,
direction.
mhm. Yeah, no. These I don't know, like I'm like, do we start with, because I go first on this
You
one,
go
so I'm
first,
curious
yeah.
if you have like any fun facts you want to tee off, but I definitely want to ask you like kind of why for both
Why?
films.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
I have a mini tee off, which is I did not
Mm.
obviously because I created this pairing on air thanks to you last episode. I did not know this at the time that we picked these two, but apparently David Cronenberg kind of infamously does not like to cite other films as influences or other filmmakers as influences. And one of the very few that he has called out by name is Don't Look Now.
No.
Yeah,
Oh,
so this
weird.
is a particular favorite film of his, especially within the horror genre. And he doesn't say that it necessarily affected his own filmmaking, but that it affected him as a human being, like as a viewer, he really loves it. So I was pleased to see that I think he would approve of this pairing, even if they don't necessarily have that much in common on the surface. Although, as we'll get into, I think there's plenty in common underneath it.
As we get into it, I have like a note that I want to note before going into my watch. But that's so fun. So tell me, like, when you first saw this, like,
oh my God.
I just kind of like want to know where this one came out, because I never even heard, in the very rare occasion, I've never even heard of this movie.
Oh, that's so exciting. Oh my God. And I'm still so scared that you hated it. Which
I will tell you my opinion shortly, but
I know, I've got to hold on to it.
Yeah.
So this film I first encountered, it was a film that was mentioned in college by my favorite professor, who I have been working on this book that I'm co-writing with her. That's officially coming out around Thanksgiving this year.
Oh,
so
wow. Oh my gosh, so soon.
Yeah, so soon.
I mean, really, the time flies.
No, I know. It's going to be here like that. But so Annette Insdorf had brought it up in class and showed a clip from it, but did not show the whole movie. Because she's not a huge fan of horror movies. But I was, and because of that, she very rarely mentioned them. And so it was like, a horror movie that Annette Insdorf mentioned in class? What could this be? Must see. And so I went and watched it on my own and was so taken by the editing style in particular, and how the way that it blends past and present in this way where you don't understand what's going on when you first watch it, right? And it's very like temporally disorienting. And then when it all kind of unravels and reveals what's going on, it's such a like that's true horror to me. That sense of like it's like a pit in your stomach kind of drop. And it I think that particular kind of horror is very rewatchable and very like it adds on itself over time. And so I was excited to have the opportunity to rewatch it. And it's also again, because of that narrative structure, I was curious to see how it played differently on a second viewing, and it was actually scarier, which was not what I was expecting. But because you know what's happening, like, okay, spoiler alert here for Don't Look Now.
I was gonna say, we can't talk about either of these films without spoilers, so if you've not seen these, please, I hate to say pause us, but please do, and watch these. This is gonna be a spoiler heavy episode.
These two films are very,
thank you,
like,
actually, for that.
Gut punch endings.
So spoilers ahead. Stop now. Last warning.
But on this watch, and for obvious reasons, I didn't notice this the first time, but the figure in red that we see at the very end of the movie, our killer, actually appears in almost every single crowd scene. And I didn't notice it the first time around because you don't know to look for this figure in red. Like, and the camera doesn't make a big deal of it. They often like just kind of like walk briefly across like one corner of a square, or they're in the very background. But by the time it gets to a point in the narrative where where the camera starts actually making you look at this figure or note it because the character's noting it, that figure has already appeared like 10 times. And knowing that now, I'm like, ugh.
Wow.
Especially because it raises all these questions about, like, was this figure stalking them? Had it selected them particularly from the beginning? Like, how did they keep crossing paths? And so, that really, it spooked me even more this time.
And you said that was this was your second watch then?
For both of these films, actually. This was only my second watch, which, given the amount that I talk about Dead Ringers, is
but
bizarre.
Because they stick with you, right?
They stick with you.
When they
Yeah.
stick, it doesn't mean, if I don't watch all the time, doesn't mean anything. It means it was so good on first impact.
And like, I think these are also like such existential horror films. Like there's so much about the horror of being alive in different ways that like,
yes.
Which I feel like I guess has weirdly become a theme for my birthday picks. Like,
to, like,
I saw the TV
really
glow.
Do. Yes, I was thinking that exact thing.
Yeah, I love a film about the horrors of being alive in a human body.
Super tragic.
Yeah, but because of that, I think it's they aren't films that you necessarily are going to watch all the time, but hopefully they stick with you when you do. And I also thought, although this isn't something I realized until this pairing had been made, the way that the color red functions in these two films is very connected. And I know we both, when we turned our cameras on, we're like, we're both wearing red. It was
I know, not wearing black for once.
I know,
we're red,
so rare.
Yeah,
you have to for these two films.
You have to.
Yeah. Okay, so now, what did you think? And I promise I won't be offended if you didn't like Don't Look Now. I'd be more offended if you didn't like Dead Ringers, but
yeah. I'll save my Dead Ringers till we get to that. Because again, I want to like hear from you. Opposite of what you and Dana, I so greatly enjoyed this film.
Oh my god, I'm so relieved.
I mean, like, again, never heard anything about it. I was going into Dead Ringers, I knew a little bit more. It's obviously Cronenberg.
It's Cronenberg.
There's a lot of familiar territory
when you
happening.
Say Cronenberg and it's a movie about twin gynecologists, I feel like you can put together a lot of the imagery that you end up getting in the movie. Yeah,
absolutely. And like I had no idea about Don't Look Now. Like didn't look anything kind of like obviously I did research before, whatever. This movie is so perfectly. I was kind of like talking about it earlier. There's something about like a 70s thriller murder mystery that I just feel like this movie, there's like nothing wrong with it. It is perfect. The editing style, the ending, the suspense, it being in like 70s Italy and like the feel of that timelessness and like foreignness. It just like I'm so fucking delighted that you chose this. I'm so glad. I loved it from like the very second with like it was just so intriguing right off the bat. The imagery is insane.
I'm genuinely shocked by this.
This is a side of me that like I feel like I don't have people to talk to about it, or I don't get in front of me often. And so like this is why I always look forward to your birthday picks or picks that you pick, because I just don't know where to look for them. You know what I mean?
Well,
other than recommendations.
Don't Look Now is really not that well known these days, I think. Like, honestly, I think
one
of the things...
a shame.
It's such a and especially thinking about how famous The Wicker Man is. Like, everybody has heard of The Wicker Man,
and
even
this
if
was
you haven't seen
billing.
it.
I mean,
this was the A-billing!
It was the A-billing, which is so funny, and I had no idea about even that, too. Again, I've heard of The Wicker Man. Like, But yeah,
no, I know,
it like,
on that episode.
Me.
Yeah, I know, I like mentioned that, and you were like, never heard of it.
Like, yeah. What's that? Now I will be... I mean, I'm already looking at I want a DVD like copy of it. I
that makes
truly
me so happy.
It excites me like your rewatch of it too, because like truly at the end I was just like I've never had a bigger payoff and also just like upset.
I love this.
Yeah, it was. I mean, I just like I'm still processing like how much I enjoyed it, because there's these films you watch where you're like immediately like, oh my god, and like have this really big reaction, but like I feel like I just sit with this movie
big time
because it was just so interesting. The acting was phenomenal. From what's her name? Which
Julie Christie.
Yes, Julie. Yeah. I'm like, she's insane.
Peak Julie Christie performance.
Yeah, my god. Yeah, it was just like. I don't even know what to say. Just even the like very ending, like just that wrap up again, the editing style of it's just like perfectly is like a movie that like I have nothing bad to say about it.
Oh my god, I'm
so thankful,
over the moon about this.
Yeah. And again, it's because I just feel like, and I'm hoping like other people share this too. It's not because I don't like these are actually like movies like this are like my favorite kind of movie. I love them dearly, and they hold like a spot in my heart. And I feel like this one I will carry with me. Sometimes I just need it recommended to me. So like now I'm like, Siena, Please give me a list of anything that you
God,
feel
I
like is
love
in a similar vein,
this.
because
Yeah.
I just loved every minute of it. And it was really interesting to read about. I don't have a ton of stuff, as we'll get into, of like why.
I can
Wish I had the
imagine.
DVD. Wish I had
I
like a special edition. But
I knew going into it, because again, I was planning to research it. So like I'd done a little bit of advanced, just like checking to see what there was, and I knew
oh
like
sure, yeah.
the sex scene, at least there's like stuff to
Yep.
talk about
Yeah,
there.
I was gonna say that's like a big chunk of my notes
Yeah,
for
I was
sure.
like that. At least I feel like there's enough
Yeah.
juice to get out of. But I
Yeah.
imagine, especially like because it's a co-production, I'm guessing because it's like filmed in Europe, there's like a lot of reasons that it's hard for us to get info in America.
Yeah. Wikipedia, every time I clicked on a source, it
Mhm.
was a dead end source that looked like it was like either like got taken down, or like I'm sure there's like, if I were to dig, like, I mean, listen, we have lives and jobs outside of here, so there's only like so much time to like go to libraries and wait for the DVD to come. Like there's sometimes I'm like, I want to buy these things, but it's like, oh, it's gonna take a week to get here, and that's
by the time
recording.
it gets here, we're gonna have recorded.
Yeah, but so I came into a lot of dead end sources. So it was a lot of just like reading online and kind of like trusting the sources that I could find. And so there I definitely have some interesting things. The people just in it are interesting. But I do have some fun like key moments, things like the sex scene that we can talk about and share. So they are there. I have 10 pages, so
oh my gosh,
I have enough.
Yeah, and oh my God, do I have a lot. About Dead Ringers.
I figured.
We've got plenty to discuss.
Yeah.
But
so
oh my gosh, also one other like connection for a second viewing that I wanted to shout out.
Yes, please.
You know the ball that the girl is playing with, that Christina's playing with at the beginning? It has like these red and white stripes on it. I noticed this time, and I hadn't noticed the first time I watched, that when the Julie Christie character gets hospitalized and is in this hospital with all children, the ball that they're playing with is the same ball.
Oh yes, I noticed that.
Oh my God, you're so much more observant than I was.
Well, I knew there was a lot of symbolism in this. I didn't bring a lot of that here, because
the fun for that is watching it with this film. Like it's
and you note everything. But yeah, I did notice that, because that was such a unique ball at the beginning.
I love that.
And not a lot of like crisp whites in the movie, so that was definitely like one that stood out. But I'm kind of like spooked by the serial killer being in like most of the frames.
She's everywhere.
That's just
she's
shows
fucking
like,
everywhere.
I just miss, I don't know, I miss filling the frame in the way we used to. And it's just like there was so much beautiful imagery that
and I think especially in a film that's like about second sight, right? And what you can foresee, the idea of hiding things within the frame that you can only see on a second viewing is so genius, perfect.
Actually. Even that, there's just like the layers of this movie. It's so good. So I'm super excited to watch again, because it was just
so glad.
For like you said, there's like the way that's edited. You kind of you do and you don't know what's going on, and you're kind of thrown into it with him from his point of view of like, what the fuck is going on. So like for that, and to keep an attention, like keep you wanting more, like being part of this mystery, it did it perfectly.
It's this like subjective editing that you don't fully understand is subjective until it's too late. Like
way too late.
Way too late.
I want to preface to, we talk about like this being like big sad horror birthday.
Big sad horror birthday.
I just, if anyone else out there is like me or Siena, I don't know if you've seen it. I just I actually had watched Bring Her Back, and then I watched Dead Ringers too. And then I watched this, and when I tell you, I literally went into work like after viewing these, like literally back to back. I watched Bring Her Back at night, Dead Ringers in the morning, and then Don't Look Now like the next morning, and I was like, I need a fucking break.
That is an emotional load to carry.
Oh my God. And Bring Her Back was also, I was late to the party. Way worth the wait, honestly, in my opinion. I didn't know anything. I'm not gonna say anything about that, but don't watch these 3 movies back to back. You'll want to kill yourself.
I was like,
I felt heavy. So thanks and no thanks for that.
Again, very on brand for my birthday picks last year.
Ooh, so I need a cleanser.
Well, I think we're not going to get it next pairing. That's not a cleanser either.
A little bit. It's a little bit fun though. It is. Way more fun than
there's some fun on the way to the darkness.
Yeah. But yeah. So, anyways, want to preface with that. Nobody do that. Great double feature, but also the worst.
A double feature that needs to be spaced out a little bit. Yeah.
But yeah, shall we jump in?
Let's jump in. Yeah.
I feel like you're gonna know a lot of this, so I'm just gonna share with those who don't.
Please.
Know or maybe remind you of some things that you knew about this, but
because there's a lot that I don't know. Like,
yeah,
I know more rumors about it than I know facts.
Okay. Well, hopefully I can bring some new things to the table for you.
Please.
So again, Don't Look Now, 1973, not 5, like I had said. We do have some taglines.
This film has to have some good taglines. I feel like.
Yeah, I think they're pretty good. We have the obvious, which this is a adaptation of a story. So we have Daphne du Maurier's shattering psychic thriller.
Amazing.
I feel like that's on a poster. It's great. We have the most harrowing experience that you may ever endure, which again,
accurate.
After my watch, 100% agree. We have It's Utter, in all caps, madness, which I don't feel like is like the best, but I like it for its
I like it, but it's not for this movie.
Not for this movie. And then the last one, like, again, I don't feel like it's for this movie, but I do love a tagline like this. It is Past the Warning.
Ooh. Oh, I love that because the title's a warning. Genius.
Yeah. So great.
Fun.
Again, this movie can't do wrong in my eyes. So.
Oh my God. I just realized I forgot to shout out the other reason that I picked Don't Look Now, which is that I actually gave it a shout out in my movie. There's a line that's like one of the characters says "Don't look now" in the dialogue, and it's a little Easter egg. Yeah, for those who know. So
that can be in your horror movie references in your horror film. I love it. Actually, I love that so much because that is one of our favorite things to point out.
You got to put in an Easter egg.
Yeah, you have to. So we have director Nicholas Roeg. This was his third film as a director, following Performance of 1970 and then Walkabout in 1971. But I didn't know this. He was previously a cinematographer. That was the route he was going down.
Oh, that makes so much sense for this movie.
It makes so much sense. And I was like, of course. Yep. So he was actually second unit cinematographer on David Lean's Lawrence of Arabia.
No!
Which is
that's so cool.
Insane. And then because of that, David Lean actually hired him on his next film, which was Dr. Zhivago.
No.
However, if you I don't know if anyone knows who shot that. We don't see his name in the credits, and that's because him and David Lean actually had a creative clash.
Oh my God.
And he was eventually fired from the production and then replaced by Freddie Young, who was the one who shot Lawrence of Arabia, the main cinematographer. Which is
God, I need to learn about their breakup.
I know. I'm like, what are those? So I didn't dive into that, but I thought that was really, really interesting. Kind of in this world. And then of course, Lawrence of Arabia is Steven Spielberg's, he cites that as one of his favorite films of all time ever. So
for good reason.
I love the little horror world we get. He was also camera operator for a number of film productions, including The Sundowners and The Trials of Oscar Wilde. So he's pretty robust, but then again, he kind of moved in this director route. And after this film, he also went on to direct The Man Who Fell to Earth in 1976. Bad Timing.
Shot here.
Did it really?
Yeah, it's shot in White Sands, New Mexico.
Oh my gosh, that's a fun little. There's so many New Mexico,
and it stars David Bowie as an alien.
Yeah, does it really? Yeah. I haven't seen that one. I know the name of it.
I feel like it would be up your alley.
Yeah, I mean David Bowie. Say less.
Yeah, David Bowie plus Don't Look Now director plus shot in New Mexico. There's a lot going for it. Yeah,
overlap. The cross sections is just a big circle for me on that one.
Exactly.
So he directed that one. He did Bad Timing 1980, and he did the 1990 The Witches. Which I didn't know.
Realize that.
I know.
Oh, how interesting.
Really?
Nicholas Roeg.
Right? Really
what a rogue.
Interesting. What a rogue. Really went rogue.
Mhm.
However, our cinematographer obviously was not him. It is Anthony Richmond, who did
Ooh.
a lot of music videos. So he did
Ah.
Rolling Stones, Child of the Moon, and
Oh,
Jumpin'
wow.
Jack Flash. He also
Mhm.
did, he worked with Rogue again on Walkabout and The Man Who Fell to Earth. So they
Cool.
continued to collab. But if you don't recognize cinematographer Anthony Richmond from those things, he shot some of the biggest rom-com blockbusters
Oh my
of the
god.
2000s.
No way.
The roster goes on, but I'm going to name a handful,
Oh my
and we all
god.
know these. Let's start off strong. Legally Blonde, The
What?
Sweetest Thing, Dirty Dancing Havana Nights, A Cinderella Story, Just Friends, John Tucker Must Die,
Oh
Good
my
Luck
god.
Chuck, Employee of the Month, and so many more movies.
The fact that Don't Look Now and Legally Blonde,
Legally Blonde live in the same. They are forever connected.
Oh my god. Okay, I just got this like mental image of Elle Woods watching the sex scene from this movie, and now I can't get that out of my head.
She would have loved it, and then
She would have.
she would have cursed whatever his fucking name was in it and threw her chocolates still. You know what I mean? And Bruiser Woods, yes.
Oh my god, yeah, I'm glad you understood what I was picturing. That scene with her at the beginning, and she's eating chocolates and crying, picturing it being Don't Look Now.
Listen, Siena, we have the ability to edit. We can make that happen.
We can make this happen. We have the technology.
Isn't that so? I love when we get these crossovers, like genre crossovers from kind of our key players in production. So I was floored to learn that and very delighted. So we started off strong with my research.
Wow.
When we got there. We have, moving on to our writers, we have two writers. We have Alan Scott. He is a Scottish screenwriter and producer who was an executive producer and co-creator of the Netflix series The Queen's Gambit.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
What a long career. That's amazing.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
You go,
and
Alan
then
Scott.
He has also collaborated with Nicholas Roeg on a bunch of projects, and then he also co-wrote The Witches. So we have this little duo. He was also nominated for BAFTA's Alexander Korda Award for Best British Film, 2 Genie Awards for 1997's film Regeneration, and won an Edgar Award in 1976 and a Writers Guild Award in 1978. So very accomplished.
Wow. Yeah.
However, Alan Scott is not his given name.
Ooh.
He was originally born Alan Shayak is how I think you pronounce it. So Shiach. I'm probably butchering that. I'm so sorry.
I have no idea how it's pronounced, but I can picture it in my head. Yeah.
And began using the pseudonym Alan Scott during his career when he started screenwriting and producing. So
interesting.
Why did he change his name, and what was it before? What was he trying to kind of get away from? He was a chairman and chief executive of a Scotch whiskey brand in the UK from 1979 until 97 when they stopped operations. So he was like, I don't want people to know that I was a whiskey exec. I want to go into this film
double
world.
life.
I know.
Oh my god.
Like, good for him.
Living the dream. Yeah.
Like to go on and do what he did. It's like good for him for being a chairman.
Yeah.
And then kind of stepping away and going
doing
completely opposite direction.
And doing so well.
Yeah, so well.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, super fun. So we also have Chris Bryant. He was a English screenwriter and then occasional actor. He really started in like things that he wrote himself, and he wrote a lot of TV movies. So he did 1986's Sword of Gideon, 1991's One Against the Wind, and 1993's Foreign Affairs. And he kind of has this was his second screenwriting credit on a feature, and just kind of did like TV earlier. Again, a little bit like less noted of in comparison, which often we find, I think, with like when we get writing duos on things. Development. So like I said, this is an adaptation of the novel Don't Look Now by Daphne du Maurier, which I've not read. It was first published in 1971 as the title story in a collection, Not After Midnight and Other Stories. I know, I kind of want to read it now just to see how robust
Daphne
or not
du Maurier,
robust.
I know, wrote Rebecca, and I think also wrote The Birds, right?
Is that why I recognize her goddamn? I just like didn't even like
I think
put that in here.
The other one. Because I know we've covered at least one other du Maurier.
I was like, is that why she sounds so familiar?
Do
you guys see where I pick and choose? wife. I'm like, we don't need to go any further with that. There's juicier things to talk about.
Indeed. Yeah. We've got to get to that sex scene. Come on.
Yeah, we got it. Truly. So many things. So, yeah, that sounds really familiar, actually. But okay, so like, how did we get this adaptation? Like, why was it done? So, director Nicholas was offered the script and chose to use the adaptation for himself, for his reel, to experiment with what he called film grammar, which I feel like me and you kind of know, any kind of film people kind of know, like, quote, film grammar, but I did bring in a definition for our not so film familiar friends, and just a refresher because it's been a minute.
Also, Travis confirms the birds is Du
Birds is
Maurier.
correct.
Yes, great.
Look at your memory go. I don't have one of those anymore.
I only have one for movies. That's it. I can't remember anything else in my life, but I can remember movies all right.
Listen, me having to read off a page is me overcoming a huge kind of battle in my life. So I'm just happily accomplished when I can read out loud.
Listen, we're both two very neurospicy people hosting a very long podcast. Yeah.
Ask me a dog breed, though.
There you go. We all have our things.
Describe them. Yeah. I hate that that's mine. Why can't it be movies? We're gonna get there one day. Maybe year 5. We'll see.
There you go.
So, like I said, director Nicholas kind of used this adaptation as this experiment for himself. So, film grammar. What is that definition? Why did he want to use this as that experiment? So, it is, quote, the collective set of visual, audio, and editing conventions used to tell a story in movie images, obviously. Nice. Just as written language uses grammar to build sentences, film grammar dictates how shots, cuts, angles, and camera movements are arranged to convey meaning, tone, emotion to the audience. So, again, if I'm hoping at this point no one's like is spoiling themselves, and I hope everyone has watched it who is listening. But like all of those things, it's like I don't want to say it feels textbook film, like a film that they would show in school, but like it's just so perfectly does all these things and blends all of those things together that it I'm like, goal accomplished immediately. Like,
absolutely,
say less, he accomplished it.
There's not a camera move that he doesn't use in this film to great
truly
effect. Like he yeah.
and as you mentioned too, just the editing alone in this is so interesting. And it's brilliant. And we'll again, the sex scene, I put a pin in kind of the editing. A big part of that it was very interesting to read. So again, that's what he wanted to bring to it with this adaptation. From there, screenwriter Alan Scott, our whiskey exec, was brought on board to kind of expand on this short story into a full-length feature.
Wait, I just realized. I'm so sorry. So his name is Alan. His pen name is Alan Scott, and he owned a Scotch whiskey company.
Yes, and he's Scottish.
Oh my God, Jesus Christ.
And he's Scottish. God. Do you know how many times I wrote Alan Scotch?
I mean, I feel like that's what he's going for, right?
Yeah. He was like, no, this will make sense. People will just think,
Jesus Christ.
That will draw people away from the Scotch whiskey for sure.
I'm so sorry it took me like fully 10 minutes to connect those dots, but yeah.
I had to go back and edit because sometimes I subliminally write people's names depending on the thing. So yeah, I love that you got there because it was
eventually.
I'm sure I'm going to run across it again where I did not correct it. So yeah, Alan Scott, the Scotch guy, say that 3 times fast. He was brought in to expand this, which I love. Like, really has not a lot under his belt and was brought in to do this.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, like he went in with Chris Bryant, the other screenwriter, and they of course made some changes to the original source material. Most notably, again, I've not read it, but most notably they changed the daughter's death, which I think is really interesting.
Interesting. Like the way she dies?
Yeah, the way she dies, which is...
Oh my God, because it's so important to this film!
Which makes me want to read the source material. So in the original book, she passes away from meningitis.
Oh my God, drowning is so much better! You said a movie in Venice, you wanted it to be about drowning, come on!
I was gonna say, like, to have, like, I can't even imagine where they would have filmed it otherwise. Because I'm like, it's just not the same story, because they're surrounded by water, they're surrounded by grief.
Absolutely, yeah.
And how she died. So, like, I'm so intrigued of what a brilliant leap to change, like,
something that is crucial.
Yeah, like it hinges on.
Absolutely.
And genius choice it was to do that. So crazy.
Oh my God.
getting into starring. So originally, it was not set to be Julie Christie and Donald Sutherland.
Ooh.
It was set to be a real-life couple, Natalie Wood of 1955's Rebel Without a Cause, and Robert Wagner of Pink Panther fame, I feel like.
Isn't he the one who, like, potentially murdered her? Like...
Oh my God.
Wait, no, Natalie Wood drowned, and people suspect her husband of having drowned her.
That's why they didn't... Is that why they didn't want to do it? Oh my God.
That's
Netflix doc.
Wild.
True crime Netflix doc. He read it. He was like, too close to home. This is
too close to home. I'm already planning on this.
Oh my God. I actually didn't know
Allegedly. But
sure,
like, there's
allegedly.
A lot of good evidence. But they were like on a yacht, and there were like 3 people there, and Natalie doesn't come. Yeah.
Oh. Yikes.
Oh my God.
Damn,
Sorry,
that adds like an air of real life horror.
Oh my
to
gosh.
This. Well, thank fuck, maybe, because that would have been like really weird to then
that
have them
so
be
dark.
in this.
Yeah. Glad that didn't happen. Honestly, I mean, I love Natalie Wood. I think she's an incredible actress and would have been great in this. But like, I'm glad that there wasn't that added layer of
people
unsavory
really
flavor there.
For sure. I mean, lucky for us, director Nicholas never wanted the 2 of them. He actually had always wanted to cast Julie Christie and Donald Sutherland.
Oh my God, I love that.
I love. At the time, though, initially both of them were on other projects, and so they couldn't do it. But of course, like with what you just said, fate had it that they weirdly became available at this time. Their projects like fell through or whatever. So, wow, the universe was working in a real spooky way there. Oh God!
To keep things from getting even spookier.
Yeah, because I literally wrote, as fate had it, they became available. God. So that's really weird, and I don't like that. I do not claim this energy. I don't claim it.
Yeah, this is all
Get
on
it
me.
away
I'm
from me.
Sorry.
So we've said her name a million times. We have Julie Christie as Laura, our lead. She is from a bunch of things, but we're going to list a couple. She's from Fahrenheit 451, Dr. Zhivago, which we talked about, New York, I Love You, Shampoo, and Dragonheart, which I still need to watch Dragonheart. As it is often the case, Julie Christie read the script and was immediately excited to work with Nicholas Roeg as the director of the film. But of course, like I just kind of listed off, it was not her first time working with him. He was the cinematographer for Fahrenheit 451, From the Mandarin Crowd, and Petulia, which are films that she was in. So she was very familiar and excited to kind of work on this director's side with him.
No wonder he was able to get such a... I mean, she's an incredible actress no matter what, but no wonder he is like a fairly new... No wonder that he, as a fairly new director, was able to get such a great performance out of her, because he'd seen her being directed before and what she responded to.
Yeah,
that's really
it's kind of such a fun leap to see cinematographers go in directing. And also, like, I feel like we see that a lot more now. And I feel like some of my favorite episodes of, like, because now we get like these beautifully we get beautiful television now. I think like TV is the real I feel like that's just like a weird turn, and I'm not saying I like it, but we're getting these really beautiful TV shows.
It's true.
And a lot of my favorite episodes not only are usually directed by women, it's always the case, but cinematographers. Like the cinematographers will direct, and they become my favorite episodes. And it's I don't know that till the end, so I always find it really interesting for cinematographers to make that leap over, because I just feel like they have such a unique perspective.
Absolutely.
And they're seeing things that a director who's only directed may not see. So
absolutely,
I do love that, and I definitely, I mean, her performance in this was like,
it
didn't even feel like she was acting.
Exactly. Yeah. I believe that child died, you know?
Yeah. There were some real life inspirations that we got from it. So like acting, not acting. So fun fact, prior to filming, director Nicholas actually asked Julie Christie to attend a real seance with him.
Oh my God, I love that. That's so cute.
Right? So he hired Leslie Flint is his name. So he's a direct voice medium, which is also known as a trumpet medium, which I found really interesting, who don't speak on behalf of the spirits. They let the spirits speak for themselves. So that's
cool.
I know. I was like, a trumpet medium is really cool.
That. Did not know that term.
Yeah, me either. So he is based, Leslie Flint is based in Notting Hill, and he invited Leslie and Nicholas over, or, invited Nicholas and Julie over to attend a session where he also invited American parapsychologists to observe this seance happen.
Oh my God, amazing.
And so, which I'm like, oh my God, I would like doing it alone would be one thing, but like to have like people there witnessing, I'd be like, what is about to happen?
And like taking notes on it too,
yeah,
studying it. That's
I'm like, this is creepy.
Very intense. Yeah.
So the two of them show up, sat in a circle, and they were in complete darkness. They joined hands and instructed to uncross their legs, and then like the seance begins, which is where we kind of get that moment that we see incorporated into the film. So they kind of took from this, and I love that he kind of did it with her. He wasn't like, go get a seance. Go to a seance real quick. He's like, no,
he
we're
wanted
going
to experience it too. That's really cool.
Just his excuse, I'm assuming.
Honestly.
We of course have Donald Sutherland as John. We've talked about him before on the podcast. He was in our Invasion of the Body Snatchers episode. Was he in any other episodes that we talked about?
I think that's the only other Donald Sutherland we've covered so far. Yeah.
Which, God, he was so, and that was my first time seeing him as like baby Donald Sutherland. So it's fun to see him in kind of around the same age. He's also President Snow in the Hunger Games. He's Mr. Bennett, which is like where I know and love him from the 90s Pride and Prejudice. And a billion other things. He is in all of the things. And I love him so much.
He's fantastic. And I mean, such a good mustache grower also. This man has some of the best acting mustaches in the business.
It's I have a fun fact about him. His hair in this film, not his hair.
Oh my God.
It is a wig.
Oh my God. It looks like Donald Sutherland's hair, though.
I know.
That's a really good wig.
I was like, damn. I couldn't clock that wig whatsoever.
No, not at all.
I was like, luscious locks. I was like,
yeah. Wow.
So, speaking of mustache,
it looks exactly like his hair in Body Snatchers. Oh my God.
I know. I wonder if he had to like cut it for something.
That would make sense. Yeah.
And then, just had to throw on the old head merkin. I can't not call short wigs merkins.
It is a head merkin.
Yeah,
it's true.
He pulls it off. But moving on. Sorry. So he was approached by director Nicholas, obviously, because he wanted him to star in it, and he said he was definitely interested. However, had some reservations because he had issues with the depiction of clairvoyance in the script.
Oh,
he said it was depicted very negatively in the script upon reading it for him, and that he felt the film should portray it in more of an educational way. And he said that the characters should, quote, in some ways benefit from ESP and not be destroyed by it.
Oh, I love
However, director Nicholas was like very resistant about that. He really didn't want to change anything that he had done in the script originally. And so kind of gave him an ultimatum of like, you could be in this or like I'm not changing that.
This
so
version of it.
Yeah. And obviously he took it. And I don't know how he feels about it after, but I don't think it portrays it negatively.
I don't
at
either.
all.
I think it feels very like, it does feel like Julie Christie's character is in a better place because of this. Even if he's in a worse place, it's not because of the clairvoyance. It's because it's his fate, essentially, I think is how the film depicts it. And they try to divert him from it to safety.
Yeah, that's kind of how I feel too, is just this wasn't it was the warning signs were there all along. There was nothing to be stopped. This was the inevitable. It's just you kind of got to see it
unravel.
Yeah. So yeah, I thought that was really interesting. Happy he still went along with it because the two of them together are
their chemistry is incredible.
Oh, God, right. I like truly was so immersed watching the two of them in this that I like forgot that they were, I don't know, there's something about this film that just like I wasn't thinking about it in this like film way. I was just like, oh my God, what's happening? Like what's there's too much other things to think about to like sit and dissect it. I will, however, do that on my second watch.
There you go. Yeah. The time will come.
The time will come very soon. I feel like I'm probably gonna watch this next week.
Oh my God, I love this.
We have a few more characters I want to kind of just shout out. So we have Hilary Mason as Heather. She is in 1986's Dolls, which I really want to cover at some point. She's in Robot Jocks and then a ton of other TV episodes throughout her career. We have Clelia Matania.
Amazing. What a
the
gorgeous
L
name.
right at the beginning. Beautiful. Very hard for my dumb mouth to say.
Yeah.
She is sister. It's hard to not do with the Italian accent, which I don't want to.
Don't want to butcher.
I feel bad doing. Yeah. She is known for the Monte Carlo story and Just Before Nightfall. And apparently she wasn't the original actress for that role as well. A different actress by the name of Daphne Heard was originally cast as Wendy, but was forced to withdraw after she discovered she had a heart condition, which I don't know. I always, again, there's like some weird things that happen on this
film. Yeah.
Yeah. We have Massimo Serrato as Bishop Barbarigo. Barbarigo.
The bishop.
Listen, that was me not attempting to actually say that correctly. Yeah, we have the bishop. You may have seen him in 1946's Outcry, 1960's The Love of Hercules, 1979's The Humanoid, and he goes uncredited as Man at Gas Station in the original The Omen.
Oh my God, amazing.
Really
Love that.
Just tiny little cameo, and again, a film that we want to cover.
And he has big The Omen energy, actually, in
this
film.
Right? Yeah. I thought that was, I always think it's cute when I see like an uncredited, but then in a very classic horror film.
Yeah, love that.
We have Renato Scarpa as the inspector. He makes an appearance, again, very small appearances, as a tailor in The Talented Mr. Ripley and a tailor in the movie The Tourist.
Oh my God, amazing.
And then he was in many, many, many Italian films over his career as well. So very robust IMDb page. And he was actually cast in his role despite not being able to speak any English.
Wow.
So he had no idea what he was saying.
That's so perfect, though.
I know. Honestly, like we'll get to it. I don't know if we. Yeah, I think we'll get to it a little bit. Oh, in like 2 seconds.
Oh, fabulous.
So he just basically like was given these lines and read them without knowing anything, which a lot of people say kind of like adds to the creepy vibe that he gives off.
Absolutely. Yeah, he's terrifying.
Bless him for just being like, yeah, I got this. Does a great job.
Yeah. Wow.
And then like a little language fact, because it's funny enough, I was actually, when I was watching Bring Her Back, there's some Russian in the beginning, and there's no subtitles for what I feel like is really it kind of sets up the film in a way where it kind of comes back, but like not so much, right? It's very like the movie allows the audience to be smart, right? It's they like, we know we're not going to over explain stuff, which I love. Yeah. But there's no subtitles, and it's so funny because again, I watched these like all together, and I was like, I posed the question kind of out loud of, I find it interesting when films don't give subtitles, because I'm like, what, like, are we not supposed to know what's going on? What if there is someone Russian, like who speaks Russian in the audience? Like, how does that like affect one's viewing experience? And it was very purposeful. I did find a note that it was very purposeful, that the dialogue and not seeing the Italian was important for them, and they didn't subtitle it because they wanted us in this point of view of the character of John and kind of how he can speak Italian, right? He does talk to them. However, then there's moments where he's like panicking, trying to get a hold of his wife, and all these where he does, or where he was trying to find these sisters in their rooms.
He's begging for somebody to speak English.
Yeah. And so it was a very intentional choice because they wanted us to kind of feel this confusion along with him. Very a la like Lost in Translation too.
Totally.
As you're in this foreign place, dealing with a lot of emotions, feeling very out of place, feeling very like, you know, consumed with grief or big change. And it's just like, I often ask myself that question. So it was really interesting to see why that was a choice. Cause I wonder, you know, because I'm like, why are you not giving us this information?
Well, I'm also always curious then, like, how is that handled in, for example, the Italian release? I wonder if it's because I'm sure, they're speaking real Italian. I'm sure there's actual stuff being said, but if the intention is for you to be left in the dark, do you then dub it with another language? Like, what do you do?
Right. I do find it interesting because I'm like, you know, what if you're viewing it with your Italian friend and they're just like, you know what I mean? Like, how does that then affect the viewing? So I always find that it's just so funny that I had out loud had that conversation about Bring Her Back, and then went into this and had the same exact question and kind of got an answer. So
pod manifestation, baby.
Truly, there was some weird energies around this, and I don't say that in a bad way, but I was just like, oh my God. Before we get to locations, budget, I don't have a lot. Do you want to take a quick guess at what this is, just out of intrigue?
Oh man,
I had no guess for this. I kind of just was like, oh, okay, that's that.
Well, I know it was more expensive than The Wicker Man, but I don't think it was very expensive.
Yes. No.
Under 10 mil.
Yes,
6?
for sure. No, it was only I mean, this is with like conversions, and I only found one thing. 1.3.
Oh my God, that's tiny.
Tiny.
Whoa.
Super tiny.
Interesting. Yeah. Oh, I was not expecting that at all.
I'm just assuming because there's like a lot of outside shots, and they're just filming in real places.
I guess so. Which I guess is also one of the things that I think is so special about this movie, is getting to see Venice in this point in time in such detail, and like particularly all of these parts of it that are crumbling into the water, which like I've never been to Venice, but I've heard that it's not that way now, and getting to see it like decrepit like this is something we can only experience now in movies.
Yeah, it was I love kind of seeing European films from older decades, and like 70s especially, because there is a sense of timelessness to it as well, where it's like, other than the fashion, it's like Venice still looks like Venice, unless you're gonna shoot, there's obviously like newer things, but like you can shoot it in a way where it feels timeless. And so it's always really interesting to watch kind of like UK or European shot films from prior decades. So that alone I just kind of loved, because it makes it I feel like really rewatchable because of that in itself. It was shot in 6.5 weeks, which I think there's so much going on that I actually find that
short.
Insane.
Agreed.
Personally.
Agreed. Especially because it's shooting in 2 different countries too, right?
No. All Italy.
Oh, whoa.
Yes, yeah. All Italy is what I
interesting. I wonder where they shot the British locations then, because it looks so like foggy British weather.
I don't have that as a note in here.
Fascinating.
Worries. It was in and around. So director Nicholas made it a point to not shoot at any kind of traditional tourist locations, which I think is funny, because like Venice to me now feels like a tourist destination.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
But at the time, apparently it was not so much. And he said he kind of wanted to avoid tourist locations, to not have a quote travel documentary look, which I think is really funny.
Yeah.
However, as one kind of would expect, Venice kind of turned out to be very difficult for them to shoot production-wise.
I can imagine, yeah.
Because the ocean tides going in and out, which not only cause problems with continuity for them, because they're always by the water, but with transporting equipment.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Especially because like the boat rocks a little bit too much and a little water splashes up. Like, yeah. You want that in your camera boat.
Yeah, so they did do some that's where I think we get kind of maybe like outside. I don't have they shot anywhere outside of Italy, but I mean maybe they did pickups and did that post shooting. But yeah, in and around Venice, but yeah, proved a challenge because the water, as one would expect.
Oh my gosh.
And for their church location, they actually had a lot of trouble also finding a church for the film.
Interesting. Because of the content?
It was not really the content. It was more of the look at the time. So they apparently had done a long hunt looking at churches all over Venice. They just couldn't find the look that they wanted at the time. I'm sure the content absolutely had something to do with it. But that was the second step, right?
But yeah.
Once they like found the look, I'm sure that was
getting through the door is hard, but you've got to find the door first. Yeah.
Yes. They had an Italian location manager, as usually people do. And so like he finally was, they'd gone through all these churches. Nicholas was like, no. And so the location manager was like, I don't know how to help you anymore. Why don't we just build a church in a warehouse instead? Of course, Nicholas was like, I'm not doing that.
Right.
I want to find a place. But I love that the location.
Yeah.
He's like, are you sure? He's like, no, we're going to find something. So before they fully gave up, they actually stumbled upon the San Nicolo Church. And they were really fortunate to find it because they didn't have to do much to it. It already had some scaffolding in place.
Oh my God,
because
amazing.
it was being worked on.
That's so perfect.
And so they were just like, aha, which that makes sense too. It's like if you find an old church in Venice, like who's gonna let you put up maybe a bunch of the stuff with like fragile stone and so
if
the
it's
fact
in good
that
condition, you're going to be more worried about a production crew coming in.
right. I can only imagine that people are like, not even content. It's like, you want to do what?
Yeah.
To this?
Oh my
Absolutely
God.
not. So they finally found one, and that is the one we get. And that was just already under construction, so they didn't have to do. That's where I think the budget gets really low.
That helps, yeah.
Things just existed. And then I wrote, before we take a turn into some more unpleasant production facts,
God, yeah.
I wanted to share a little fun fact about the church scene where Laura lights the candle for Christine. So, and then I have like a bad note about it later, but for now we have a fun fact about it.
Great.
So originally in that
good news
scene,
before the bad news.
yeah. I was like, then it gets a little dark. But originally in that scene in the script, and even on the day of filming, it was intended to show kind of, we see that like divide between the two characters of John and Laura, and kind of like how their mental states are kind of differing at that point. Yeah. And because of that, there was actually 2 full pages of dialogue that was supposed to be filmed. Again, they were like on set that day, no intention of changing it at all. And so it wasn't until after they took like a break from filming, the crew was setting up equipment for like the next shot, and Donald Sutherland came back to set and commented how he didn't like the church, which I think is so funny because Nicholas is like, I love this church.
This is
perfect,
where
we're filming.
Yeah.
And Donald Sutherland's like, it's ugly. He called it he commented just how he didn't like it. And then actress Julie called him silly and said the church was beautiful. And so director Nicholas overheard this and felt that this kind of simple exchange between the actors was more true to life of what these characters would say to each other. And so last minute decision, he scrapped 2 full pages of dialogue, again, for a man who like didn't want to change a lot and almost didn't hire Donald Sutherland because he was
he
like,
wanted
no,
things changed. Yeah,
he changed it after he heard this.
That's fascinating.
He also felt that there were like too many kind of like at odds scenes with the couple, and so he felt like something like this would be a nice break from that as well. So I kind of love that it was like this win-win for him, that he felt like he had too many scenes where they were kind of against each other, and then on top of that kind of took this moment of real life and injected it into the scene. So I think that's really fun.
I also love the idea. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, you go.
I love the idea that Donald Sutherland, who's playing this character that is so resistant to what's going on around him and so like not in the flow of what's going on around him, was being that way on set.
Yeah.
Like, I want this story to be different. I hate this church. Like...
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like he probably and I say this in like the best way, in the same way like I feel like I'm curmudgeon-y. I feel like he's curmudgeon-y.
Yeah, like he's
in a delightful way.
Grump. Exactly.
Yeah, like you could poke fun back at him and he would chuckle.
He would take it. Yeah.
Yeah. At least that's my perspective of him. Well,
I choose to believe so.
Yeah. So that's kind of where our light production facts fade into the background. And the blood kind of bleeds in,
covers the picture.
The rest. Yes. So just kind of like a fun fact about the location before we again talk about the location. So the house. Oh, okay. Here's the answer to your question. And I believe you are right, because it sounds like a UK. So the house they filmed the drowning scene at was a real location in Hertfordshire,
England. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
That is definitely, if I know anything,
that is not in Venice.
England,
yeah.
That is not in Venice. So you were correct. I'm so sorry.
No,
it's probably because I put that information here. So it was the home of actor David Tree. Which,
interesting.
Yeah, I find interesting. I was not super familiar with him, so I didn't list his credits. I'm so sorry.
The name sounds familiar, but I don't know what from.
Yeah. And then I looked on IMDb and I'm like, So if anyone's interested, David Tree. We all Google.
Great.
But I wrote, that wasn't the issue.
Oh my
God.
The
problem was with actress Sharon Williams, who played Christine, so the daughter, who reportedly became hysterical when she finally had to be submerged in the pond, as you would.
Poor thing.
Even though in rehearsals they did rehearsals in swimming pools before filming, and everything went perfectly fine. no issues. So she wasn't able to do it. So they had to find, I know. I'm like, being submerged in a pond sounds
it's hard. Well,
fucking terrifying.
Especially, she's got to have her eyes open. She's got to be looking up, which is always like, it's hard to do that underwater. Ponds are gross.
Ponds are gross.
Yeah.
They're murky and creepy.
And
she's little.
Blame her. Yeah.
Me either. So they had to find someone else to do it. So word spread in the town.
Oh my God.
And a farmer in the neighboring land of the house volunteered his daughter, who was an accomplished swimmer, so he claims.
Good. Oh my God.
I mean, I'm sure she was, but she also refused to be submerged
oh my God.
when it came time to build the scene. There was something in the water, quite literally. In the end, we finally get the shot, as we see. But in the end, they end up using 3 different girls to get the final result. I'm assuming because they were all like freaked out. They're kids.
Oh my God, yeah.
You know? That's scary.
That's really hard. And like, there's no way, especially in the 70s, there's no way to fake that shot. Like,
yeah. But ultimately they got it. The girls, 3 girls made it happen, and director Nicholas, and then the editor Graham Clifford, who we'll talk about in a second. Cool. They said it was like all worth it because not only was it the opening of the film, but they had showed it to some friends before they screened it anywhere, and everyone said it made like a really big impact on them. So they were like, okay, maybe all this fuss was worth it in the end. Yes. Yeah. So kudos to them for keep going, and then also not forcing these children to do something that was really scary to them.
Yeah, that's comforting to hear.
Yes. No one was forced in the making of this. So moving on. This is gonna sound really dramatic.
Oh my God.
So we have a scene that could have killed Donald Sutherland.
Oh no, I was worried about this.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I feel like I'm doing some heavy hitters in scenes. So it's ironically the scene where John nearly falls to his death while restoring the mosaic tile in the church.
That scene is so terrifying. Like,
yeah. Oh my God, I know. For all the more reasons I'm about to tell you. It was obviously a stunt like that, where you're dangling from a rope on scaffolding in a church, was supposed to be performed by a stuntman.
Right.
But the stuntman refused to perform that particular stunt because there was some issue with the insurance and production. Like, things weren't in order, mark. So he was like, I'm not doing this. Good for him.
Yeah, absolutely. But also, like, as Donald Sutherland, how fucking scary is that if you hear that the stuntman thinks it's too dangerous?
And then not only here the stuntman thinks it's too dangerous to do without insurance, but volunteer to do it yourself. So Donald Sutherland was like, I'll do it.
Oh, Donald,
and production's like, yeah, no, that's definitely a better idea. Put our star
my God.
of the film up there. No big deal.
Okay, I'm understanding now how this was on a double billing with The Wicker Man, given that they like burned it.
Oh my God, that makes so much. Yeah, the real life danger they put these actors in. So
Jesus Christ, and the camera people, because I was thinking that watching that scene too, because there's a shot from his perspective, hanging on the rope, and I'm like, how did they shoot this?
We don't know.
Jesus Christ.
So he's up there. He's on a Kirby wire, which is a wire that you see people like when you see like a stage performance. That's what they're on is called a Kirby wire. As a precaution, which I wrote, ha 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 ha.
Oh no!
In case he should fall. Not only that, but Donald Sutherland famously suffers from vertigo in real life.
Jesus Christ, Donald Sutherland.
So the screams you're hearing, which I think sound a little goofy, are actually him screaming a little bit in terror.
Oh my God.
As he's hoisted up there. He's high. He's high up there.
Well, and it's like the way he screams when he's like dangling from the rope is like not a usual movie scream, but that's why it's so horrifying to me, is because it's like, people don't just like when they're in actual danger. They like make animal noises. Like,
so those were real.
Oh no.
He obviously does not get hurt in the making of this. However, years after the film came out, renowned stunt coordinator Vic Armstrong made a statement about the wire that Donald Sutherland was rigged up to, saying it definitely was not designed for that purpose. And all the twirling around and holding onto the rope, which there's a lot of movement, he said easily could have damaged the wire to the extent that would have snapped if Donald Sutherland had let go.
Oh my God. Oh my God, that's so scary.
Yeah. Thankfully, I'm sure like he read that after and he's like, I'm sorry, what?
Oh my God.
What did he just say? What did he just say? Yeah. So no harm, well, no harm, definitely foul.
Yeah, foul, no harm.
Yeah. Which I'm just like watching that. I want to watch that scene again, kind of knowing that, because I'm like, oh my God, he looks genuinely frightened.
He does.
Makes more sense.
Didn't even know how much danger he was in. Oh,
and no wonder that stuntman was like, not me, not today, not without insurance.
Which also, like, how did you not have a stunt coordinator decide how this is going to be shot beforehand?
Listen, they were just flailing around in
the
Italy that day.
Man. Jesus
Wild
Christ.
Wild times. That's why it's like good for the stuntman for being like, I'm not risking my life for this. Or like a broken bone for this. So
absolutely.
Yes. Moving on, we are finally pulling the pin out the infamous and highly controversial sex scene between Julie Christie and Donald Sutherland, which I would like to preface, I wrote these notes prior to watching it.
Oh my God.
And I thought it was so beautiful.
I
don't know why everyone calls it. I expected to see something different than what I saw.
I think people are not used to seeing sex scenes in movies that look and feel like actual sex feels. Like they're used to it being cinematic and heightened and performative, and like this very much feels very human, and like we're seeing something that's like an actual relationship between two real people, and I think that like makes it feel almost like we're watching something we're not supposed to, but there's nothing about it that feels like pornographic or like exploitative or over the top or anything.
Not at all. Especially and we'll kind of like, you're perfectly teeing me up for stuff. So like I didn't find it that way, right? But there is controversy like outside of the actual visuals. So one fun fact, it's marks one of the first times in like a mainstream feature film that we see someone going down on somebody.
Love.
We got that cunnilingus on the big screen.
I was thinking 73. This is very early to be seeing a woman getting head.
Yeah, and it's again, I was expecting things like when I was reading all this for it to be, but like, it's beautifully handled. At least like what is the end result?
Absolutely.
Again, put a pin for a second. Yeah. So at the time, I just have like a little quote from Daily Mail. They wrote about the scene. It, quote, was one of the frankest love scenes ever to be filmed and is likely to plunge lovely Julie Christie into the biggest censorship row since The Last Tango in Paris, which if you don't know about The Last Tango in Paris,
bad comparison.
It was one of the most heavily censored and controversial movies in like cinema history. So you can go down that rabbit hole on your own time.
Very exploitative to the female performer in it.
Yes. Yeah. Which apparently
it
all unfolds. So this scene was the sex scene was one of the first scenes Donald Sutherland and Julie Christie had to shoot together.
No way. Oh my
Director
God.
Nicholas
Don't
was
put
like,
that
let's
at the
get it out of the
beginning
way.
of the shoot. That's a terrible idea.
Yeah. No, he was like, let's get it out of the way.
No.
And I feel horrible because Julie Christie was rightfully terrified at the time. She said she was extremely nervous. Reportedly, both actors were on set at 7 a.m. waiting downstairs in robes while they were getting ready for them to set up. Both actors also shared a little glass of champagne to kind of like calm the nerves, which I think is cute.
That's very cute.
And inside the room, I appreciate this too. Inside the room was just director Nicholas and cinematographer Anthony Richmond. Again, put a slight pin in that.
Oh no.
And then each of them were operating like, so there were two cameras. They were huge, like 35 millimeter cameras, Mitchell cameras, and they were unblimped, which is like unsilent. So they were very, very loud, which I feel like could be very comforting.
Yeah, I feel like in the actor's shoes, I would prefer that. Yeah.
Absolutely. I'm like, just put on music. I don't know, put something on so I don't feel like out of body. Julie Christie kind of talks about this scene in an interview saying people didn't do scenes like that those days. So there were no available examples, no role models. I just went blank and director Nicholas shouted instructions.
Poor thing. I mean, like intimacy coordinators did not exist at this point.
I mean,
like, that was not a thing.
Wildly not. And I think this will be an example of why they are needed now. So so we're in there. Cinematographer, director Nicholas was just like shouting over the noise of the cameras at actors like, lick her nipples, put your hand between her legs, get on top, which like would make me giggle, but they don't really know each other, right? They haven't really acted together yet. This is like their first day, reportedly. on set. So reportedly, they kept filming the scene well into the afternoon.
Oh, no.
Until director Nicholas said he was satisfied and then called it. However, our cinematographer claims otherwise, saying that it wrapped really quickly with no more hour and a half. There's a lot of discrepancy around this.
Interesting.
And kind of the difference between these two stories on top of the sex scene being controversial like on its own is there were rumors spread at the time.
This is what I've heard. Yeah.
Yeah. So this is like a bulk of my notes. So there were rumors about this sex scene kind of going around, and it was claimed that even the outtakes from the scene were doing their rounds in the Hollywood screening rooms. It was claimed that director Nicholas like kept a raw version for his personal collection to watch when he pleases. So there was a lot of icky things happening, and it didn't help that the rumors, I'm going to say in air quotes, were confirmed in 2011 by former Variety editor Peter Bergt, who was a Paramount executive at the time. So he claims in his stupid fucking book, Infamous Players, A Tale of Movies, the Mob, and then in parentheses, and sex, he claims that he was on set that day for that scene being filmed.
Was he though?
Exactly. He said he could and this is where the controversy, he said he could clearly see Donald Sutherland's penis moving in and out of Julie. So he's like, this was not simulated sex. This was real sex. It didn't help that also Julie Christie's then boyfriend, actor Warren Beatty, which I didn't realize I dated, reportedly was super enraged by this scene and filming this scene. He also claims that it was unsimulated sex. And so like him and Peter Bergt were in fucking little cahoots. Peter Bergt then reiterates kind of Warren Beatty's sentiments in the book, saying that he'd contacted him and complained about what he was seeing. He contacted him saying like director Nicholas Roeg was exploiting her, all this stuff. And so even it gets to a point where Warren Beatty reaches out to director Nicholas, insisting to be allowed to edit the film himself.
You're kidding me.
No. Also, like, icky. Like, your fucking boyfriend being like, I want to edit it. And I'm like, what a weird, like, red flag. Red.
Okay, where's Julie's version of
Speaking
this
of
story?
red, yeah,
literally.
Right?
Like, unless we're hearing her complaining, shut the fuck up.
Right?
Like,
I don't know if she went on record, but Donald Sutherland did go on record. He made a statement through his publicist after hearing about these rumors. Of course, he says they're not true.
Yeah.
He also stated that Peter Bergt definitely didn't witness any of this because he wasn't
there. Yeah.
And then the film's producer, Peter Katz, also was like Donald Sutherland. He kind of like reiterated Donald Sutherland's statement saying that like it was absolutely simulated. None of these rumors are true. This man wasn't there. Like he's just trying to sell a book.
Yeah.
Is what I think. A pissed off boyfriend and a guy trying to sell a book. Yeah. So that's like where the rumor mill kind of, I don't believe that was, because I feel like at the very least at this point, something would have come out.
Something would have come out. And I also think like people who make up these kinds of rumors about films, like about unsimulated sex in films, it's like you have no idea what a film set is like. Because in order, like, even the short version of this story is that it was an hour and a half long shoot. That's the short version.
Right.
What straight couple do you know that fucks for an hour and a half?
Oh like, God. Truly.
Literally on, like, the most basic level, there is no world in which that's the case. Like...
And also,
men don't last that long. I'm sorry.
Truly. Also, like the Warren Beatty of it all. I'm like, he was pissy.
I don't trust him. I don't trust that motherfucker.
Pissy. He went to that guy. That guy was like, I'm putting this in my book. I'm taking it as fact. I'm not talking to anybody. I'm not like checking sources. And they're pieces of shit. That's what I think happened after I heard the boyfriend part. I'm like,
100%. And
I know exactly what this was.
I also think that this happens with film. Anytime you see something that you haven't seen before, you assume that it's real. Like that's going back to the like classic apocryphal story of the like people watching the movie of a train coming at them and jumping up and leaving the theater. That's probably not true, but the idea behind it that we react to things that are new to us on screen by assuming they're true, there's a grain of reality to that. And so I think that people see a sex scene like this that feels true and assume that it must be because it is true without thinking about the fact that, again, it's a film set there is a reason why if you're watching porn, it doesn't look like real sex, because when you put cameras in the room and have to get multiple takes and stuff, people are going to be behaving differently in a sexual context than they would on their own. The fact that it looks this real tells me it's a performance.
Right. Yeah, it's a wild thing now to like, again, we could like unpack kind of sex scenes in films today, but
that's a whole other thing.
This was just men being shitty and wanting the limelight, and wanting to drag women down. Kind of like the other half of the sex scene, I'm going to say again in air quotes, controversy, and the expected part is the censorship of the film itself. So and I found this really interesting, and I'm like almost like really happy about it. So the American Censorship Board advised to cut moments out so they cannot see kind of like the humping, or like see kind of like, things get cut. It's like, oh, they thrust more than once, therefore it is like X. You know what I mean? Like they have these stupid rules. Director Nicholas and editor Graham Clifford, who I brought up, he was also the editor on Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Oh my God, amazing. Yes. I also have a Rocky Horror crew overlap.
Oh my God, stop.
Love that.
I love that. So they attempted to kind of like accommodate the censorship concerns by ultimately cutting 9 frames from the entire sequence, which I love. They're like, okay, we got 9. Good. Director Nicholas said, quote, they scrutinized it and found absolutely nothing they could object to. If someone goes up, you cut the next time you see them in a different position. You obviously fill in the gaps yourself, but technically speaking, there were no humping in that scene, which we don't, right? That's why I was like,
you don't
see
see
that
graphic.
And then the edits actually resulted in the scene's often celebrated fragmented editing style of the characters having sex, intercut with the scenes of them getting dressed to go out for dinner. So we wouldn't have got that, which I think is so
crucial. And it also,
if it wasn't for the censorship board.
Oh my God, and it foretells where the story is going too. Oh my God.
I know.
Thank you, censors.
Like, I know. For the first and
one and
the last
only
time
we'll
will ever fucking say that. I was just like, it makes so much more, like, it makes so much sense with the way this is edited anyways, with the foreshadowing, with the jumping of timelines and all these things. And I think that's also what makes it beautiful, is because we do, like you were saying, this like mundane reality of, these two characters having an intimate moment interlaced with what comes after that is mundane, and them just kind of, but yeah, it wouldn't have happened unless they were kind of forced to do it. And I thought it was so, I can't even imagine what it would be otherwise. It wouldn't have been impactful. People need to take note on how beautiful the sex scene was.
It's probably one of my top 2 favorite film sex scenes. The other one is in My Own Private Idaho, which very similarly, like, it's all frozen images. Like the people are like holding still as the camera shoots them, and it's it has kind of a similar feeling in some ways.
Yeah. People, if you're looking to see an example of a really good sex scene, this one it's the top of my list for now, because I don't have other. I have not seen My Private Idaho, so. The British Board of Film Censors, they kind of looked at, in like contrast to the American board, they actually looked at the raw version without all those cuts and actually called it, quote, tasteful and integral to the plot, which I heartily agree with.
Absolutely.
However, they did give it an X rating. Like, they're like, it's important. And you also can't cut anything. But you're getting an X.
That's understand.
Yeah, so I thought that was really interesting that they didn't really have a problem with it.
Wow.
And however, later when it was released on TV, it premiered in the UK on BBC. They cut out the sex scene altogether. Nothing, which they got a flood of complaints about.
It's the most important scene in the movie.
So they cut it out, got so many responses for it. I don't think they could do anything about it because it's on TV. So but I just
there's no way to edit it that's like TV friendly. But
them getting dressed after it. One smooch and then they're just dressed, that could be the only thing. Forth
as it is, but just have giant censor bars over the entire screen.
Yeah, and muted.
Exactly.
Nothing.
Just the sound of the camera whirring in the background.
The 35mm Mitchell camera, absolutely. Speaking of sounds, we're moving on to music, and I thought this was kind of interesting.
Yes, because we've had this composer before.
I'm like, where are my notes? Do I have it? What was he? I don't know if it's, I have a deep, we have Carrie.
Yes, yeah. He composed Carrie.
Yeah, so we have, Pino how do you say his name?
Donaggio? I don't know.
Donaggio?
Something like that, yeah.
Pino, I hope. I'm going to say Pino.
That feels safe, yeah.
So he is a native Venetian who was a popular singer at the time.
Oh, interesting.
He had a hit song, how do you say this? Io che no vivo was his songs, and it was actually covered in English by Dusty Springfield and Elvis Presley in the 60s.
Cool.
And the song was "You Don't Have to Say You Love Me."
Oh my
and you
God,
can watch the
love
music
that
video.
song. Yeah,
I know,
I had no idea that was from a Pino Donaggio song.
Yes.
Wow.
And prior to this, and I think this is like weirdly often the case with the composers that I end up covering, he has had 0 film experience scoring a film before. He was just a singer, and so
my God.
It's kind of like interesting how he got involved. It was actually the casting director, Ugo Mariotti, who spotted Pino in the Grand Canal in Venice.
Oh my gosh.
And like, I'm assuming he was performing and he believed it to be a sign. So he was like,
whoa,
I have to get this man on this film.
That's so cool.
And so he like asked him like, would you be interested? And of course, Pino was like very reluctant. He was like, I don't know why you would want me.
I've never done this before.
Do this. He did play instruments as well. He is accomplished violinist,
cool.
and I believe played the flute and like I don't want to say trumpet, but he played
he played things.
He played things.
Yes.
And so not only was he like a little bit like, why would you even want this? He also director Nicholas kind of like was hesitant as well, and he was like, okay, why don't you just like write us something and like get back to me, and like we'll both see if this feels like like I'm gonna trust my casting director. However, let's see if this works for the two of us. So when Pino got back to him with the music, director Nicholas was really excited about it and was like, oh wow, this is really incredible, like I want you to do this now. Do you want to like just go on this together? And so of course like the producers were a little bit hesitant about it too, but director Nicholas actually was like, I'm overruling your decision.
Oh my God.
I trust this. Like I trust him. So it was very much cool. Like a leap of faith to bring him in. Beautiful music on this as well. Yeah. Besides composing the score, Pino has also performed a good amount of the music himself, like I said. But believe it or not, I think this is so funny. The piano pieces are, as we kind of hear in here, the piano pieces are often associated with Laura's character. If you pay attention, it's something that like first watch, I can't say I noted because there were so many other things going on. But if you rewatch, you'll kind of note there's a lot of piano as her themes. And they're meant to kind of have this like innocent quality to them, kind of reminiscent of like a little girl learning to play piano. And that's because of all the instruments Pino could play, piano was not one of them. And he really struggled with it. And so he was like, I'm not very good at this. And so kind of this innocent, like child playing piano quality.
Oh, that's so perfect.
Was something that kind of like worked out really well. And they realized worked really well to play over.
Your strengths, man.
Yeah.
Or play your weaknesses, I guess.
Play like just play through your weaknesses.
Yeah.
I don't know. Which I thought was really kind of like funny that he kind of just like clumsily went through this. Oh, and this is kind of jumping back to the sex scene. So overall, it seemed like him and director Nicholas worked really well together. They agreed on a lot of things except for the sex scene. So when they had to create music for that, reportedly Pino had already composed a really grand orchestral piece for the scene. But once director Nicholas heard it, he thought it was like way too excessive for what he wanted the mood to be, and he really wanted it toned down. And so in the scene that we end up getting, it's obviously like a really simplistic, like light version. It's piano, flute, acoustic guitar, and a little bit of bass in there as well. And so once he kind of wrote it, he was like, okay, I agree with you, like low key music for this is better. However, we did not entirely lose that big orchestral sex scene score
Oh
that
my
we
God,
got.
amazing.
We actually hear a reworked version of it in the funeral scene at the end of the film.
That's so much better, because that is one of the
Right?
most striking musical moments in the
Yeah.
movie to me.
Yeah.
Ooh,
So that was, if
love.
you watch it back, you can kind of like think of where it could have been. I don't know if that was like pre-edited too, right? So we get that we get the censored version. I don't know if it was like score or the composed
Interesting.
prior or
Yeah.
not. But I love that they brought it back, and it
That's
works
so good.
so perfectly there.
Brilliant choices all around.
Yeah,
Love that.
yeah, snaps for them.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's just like kind of fun, despite never wanting to or having written music for film before. Pino ended up winning Best Soundtrack of the Year award for his work on this film.
That's a good sign that you're taking a step in the right direction.
It's like, oh shit, yeah. So on top of the experience he had on Don't Look Now, it kind of gave him this confidence, he said, to kind of like quit his successful career singing. And he went, after this movie, he went full in on his career scoring for film.
Oh, I love that.
And then, as we kind of just said, he started regularly composing for Brian De Palma films. So Carrie was one of them. He also credits director Nicholas for kind of like giving him his first lesson in writing for film. And so he's like very, very thankful to him over his career. So other than Carrie, he also scored Dress to Kill, The Howling. There we go. That's the other one we covered.
Oh my gosh. I knew we'd done two.
Yes. I was like, where's the other one?
Yeah.
Tourist Trap, Piranha.
Oh my God.
And Seed of Chucky.
No
which
way.
I think is so funny that we just covered Bride.
Okay.
So
which obviously we're gonna cover Seed at some point. Yeah. We have to.
I was like, holy shit. He kind of like went so many horror movies. I mean, he's done a ton of other things.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I was like, how cute that like he had this very successful career and like in this weird fate kind of ended up and loved it so much that he stayed.
Found him. I love
Truly.
that.
The horrors drive him down with us all.
As we must. Oh my God.
We are rounding the corner. Release. So this premiered at London's West End on October 16th, 1973. And then it was released nationwide a few weeks later. As we said, it was double featured. It was the double B movie feature accompanying The Wicker Man.
Which also, like, imagine being in England in 1973 and getting to watch this double feature. Like,
I'm like, who has family that listens to us?
That remembers this.
Yeah. I'm like, can you imagine having like your ticket still to this double feature?
That's
frame it.
Literally,
frame it.
Yeah.
Send it to us,
please.
Who doesn't want it anymore? We'll take it.
We will love and appreciate it.
Truly, like how cool.
Yeah,
that they
and they also I think share some tonal similarities too.
For sure.
It's a good double feature.
I mean, they're both like like at the very core of it, they're both like pursuing this like missing child, right?
And also this sense of like you think you know where the mystery's going and you're so wrong.
Oh my God, so wrong. I definitely I mean, I really enjoyed Wicker Man way more than I thought I was going to, but this
Don't Look Now is the stronger of the two. I think we can all agree. Like,
so good billing, I think. The two. Do you want to? I mean, box office feels so weird for this one that like I'm curious if you have even like a guess. It was hard to kind of find too much information on it.
Well, and I'm also again trying to remember Wicker Man. I couldn't find good info on because it got so many re-releases.
Right.
Oh God, I feel like I have no idea. 8. I'm gonna throw out 8.
I fucking wish. It reportedly only made it made most of its box office sales in the UK.
Makes
like
sense.
Almost nothing in like the US. It only made, again, reportedly, if anyone has like direct numbers, $212,000.
No! Oh my God, that makes me so sad.
I think because it was like a B movie and they weren't like released.
Yeah. They didn't have that scale. Well, and we talked about with The Wicker Man, there being like these supposed conspiracies against it from one of the theater chain owners. So maybe because it was on a double billing with that, it got dragged down. Like,
yeah. And like, Nicholas Roeg, like this was, his first like real feature direct. I mean,
Mhm.
there's just like so many things at play here. So
Yeah.
while the box office were devastating,
Ugh.
since it has gained, it seems like, a small cult
Mhm.
following. And then
It is
it
not as
had,
well known as it should be, but those who
yeah, I'm
know it
like
love
very
it.
upset about it. Yeah.
Like,
And now I know it and now I love it.
mhm.
There is a 4K digital restoration
Oh, good.
approved by Nicholas Roeg himself that
Oh,
was released in 2015 by the
love.
Criterion Collection. Yes.
Amazing.
And then there was another restored 4K version from Studio Canal, which is like the production
Mhm.
thing, at least I saw, like, up from
Yeah.
2019. And then and the week that kind of followed Donald Sutherland's death in 2024 of
Mhm.
June last year or 2 years
2
ago.
years ago. Ah! Oh my
Ew, that's weird.
god.
Don't Look
Ugh.
Now was actually the 8th most popular film streaming in the
Oh.
US. So
Oh, I
people like
love
clearly wanted
that.
to revisit him in this specifically. And so like that
Mhm.
feels really telling for me that this holds as it will now for me, like a really
Yeah.
special place for people after he passed.
Well, and I think his performance, there is such a vulnerability to him in
Yeah.
this film that despite the fact that he's so tall and he's the one out of the two of them who can speak Italian, you
Mhm.
get this sense over the course of the film, even before what happens, that like he is the one who is in more danger than anybody
Mhm.
else. Like he
Mhm.
has this like little lamb quality to him in this film
Yeah.
that's just incredible.
Yeah, there's yeah, the vulnerability of him, like you
Hmm.
said, for being this, like, I feel like he's always a very commanding
Yeah, I mean he's
performer.
President Snow.
I
Like
know,
that's
right?
yeah.
Terrified in that. Like, what
Yeah.
a flip of character. Brilliant actor.
Mhm.
And yeah, I just found that really, like, I don't want to say the word adorable, but like very, like, it is adorable that this was a film that people
Yeah.
wanted to revisit
I
after he
love that.
passed.
That makes me very happy.
Yeah. Kind of like awards and recognition. So
Mhm.
despite the box office numbers, it was like really well received by critics at the time. And
Good.
since its British Film Institute ranked it this film number 8 on their list of the top 100 British films. The Times ranked it number 18 on their list of 100 greatest films. It's
Good.
included amongst the, which I forgot about this book, the 100 or 1001 movies you must see
Oh
before you
yeah.
die.
Absolutely.
Um, Author Daphne du Maurier, the original story creator, she paid compliments to director Nicholas Roeg after seeing the film and actually wrote him a letter congratulating him
Oh my god,
on
I
making
love
such a
that.
strong adaptation of her
Wow.
story, which is like highest
And
of
again,
praise.
Du Maurier's had multiple stories adapted by Alfred Hitchcock, so the standards here are high.
And I was gonna say a lot of people like kind of compare like they put a lot of Hitchcock and Hitchcockian
Mhm.
again coming from the same source material or
Mhm.
author. There's like a lot of articles on that, so if you're interested
Not
in reading
surprising.
that, I'm not going to go into that because I've already blabbed for an hour. It also, at the 27th British Academy Film Awards, the cinematographer Anthony Richmond won for Best Cinematography. And
Oh,
then Don't Look Now received further nominations in Best Film Direction, Actor, Actress, Soundtrack, and Film Editing, as it should.
good.
It
Absolutely.
was also nominated in the Best Motion Picture category of the 1974 Edgar Allan Poe Awards.
Mm.
And then I wrote, if that means nothing to you, and Sienna, I had to bite my tongue for the last like hour. If that means nothing to anybody, especially Sienna, actor Tim Curry goes on record calling Don't Look Now his favorite horror film, saying he loves it for extraordinary, sustained, sinister
Oh my
suspense.
god. Oh my
So,
god.
we were like, I think
Ah!
off air talking about him,
We
so, or off
sure
mic.
were. Oh my god, that's
So,
so perfect.
yeah,
Yeah, again, the pod manifestation. We knew we had to, yeah,
truly. So I thought
incredible.
you would love that one. That was a
Ah,
specific to you birthday present. Is that
delighted.
you and Tim
Oh my
Curry agree
god.
this is
Mm.
such a great film. Obviously, Venetians, like mainly the counselors, like were not a fan. They thought it would like scare away tourists.
It
Don't
is not like
worry,
a very
Italy.
friendly depiction of Venice, but
Yeah, I don't think anyone had a problem. We all love Italy, so everyone
yeah.
need not
It's
fret,
I don't think
counselors.
Venice's reputation is ever going to be tarnished to such a degree that
No,
people stop wanting to see it. Like
no.
that would be very hard.
Not at all. Last minute, like kind of like critics, it has a
Mhm.
7.1 out of 10 on IMDb. It has 93 from critics,
Ah.
76 from audiences on Rotten Tomatoes. I just think that's because people have not seen it.
Yeah.
It has a 3.8 out of 5 on Letterboxd. I'm gonna kind of skip over because I've talked too much, but nearly 30 years after his original review in 2002, Roger Ebert added Don't Look Now to his list of the great movies and increased his rating from a 3 stars to a 4 out of 4. And both of those articles still exist, so you can read them. Oh my God, I gotta go
check that out.
Yeah, he loves it. I love that they're both up there. Mm-hmm. And then I just want to read you the letterboxed reviews that I thought were kind of funny, and we'll end on those. They tickle me, especially for films that I'm like, I'm curious. Like, I was super curious. I'm like, is anybody out there on Letterboxd that other than Siena?
Literally, it's just 7 reviews for me.
Yeah. So, we have. Is the city of Venice trying to have sex with me?
Yes, and it's succeeding.
Yes. We have It's Beautiful, but what the fuck? Which is kind of how I felt at first. We have the city of Venice got an insane lighting and smoke machine budget.
Oh my God, yeah. The amount of smoke machines on this movie. Wild.
And I love it.
Oh, absolutely.
I love it. And then lastly, we have creepiness of the final act is evened out by how warm and comforting Donald Sutherland's reappearing coat/scarf combo was.
True. He
Which
just looks so cozy.
This man rocks a big coat and a scarf in his films. At least the ones that we've covered.
I just realized that Donald Sutherland in this film has giant final girl energy, except that he dies. Like he's got that kind of like, he's the virgin who's gonna make it to the end, except he has sex, and so he can't.
That's so true. He does get final girl. That got me, man. I didn't know that ending. So that really.
You don't think it's gonna be him. You don't think it's gonna be in that way.
I outwardly, like, that whole ending, I was like,
oh my God, I'm so
outwardly. Glad. I've never been so like aghast by an ending of a film we watched.
This is such a gift.
I'm hard pressed.
Truly, Al.
I was So 1,000 out of 10. I adored. This is truly like one of my favorite movies that you've brought to.
Oh my God, that makes me so happy.
Us on the podcast. I'm glad you get you're seeing a sense of like I just don't know how to like look for them, but this is definitely I specifically this like 70s thriller mystery puzzly, like
I will send you more recommendations off of that actually, because that like brings a couple to mind.
Oh my God, yes, please share with all of us, because I am just I love this movie. No notes. It was perfect. God. I'm pissed at myself for like even having the slightest of doubt going in, which is why I try not to. I usually go in like, so.
Again, I was sure you were gonna hate it, so I'm really excited.
Quite
that
the
you
opposite.
Didn't. Yeah,
I cannot express. We know I don't hold my feelings back. Neither of us hold our opinions back really on this podcast. So I had. It was perfect. I don't know what to say.
So pleased. Well, should we go change out the red raincoat for some red hospital gowns and come back?
Oh my God, truly. Yeah, that's shut me up and get on to Dead Ringers. So.
Oh, I'm so excited. We'll be right back. And we're back. Okay. Oh my God. I am so grateful to you for giving me the gift of recommending or like bringing this movie up, guessing this movie, reminding. I know I'd said at the beginning of last episode that I would be sadder if you didn't like Dead Ringers, but honestly, I'm on such a like cloud 9 from you loving Don't Look Now that I'm like, I honestly don't even care. I love it so much. I love it enough for the both of us.
Yeah.
But I feel like I want to
hear from you, really. I mean, you've talked about it before, but I want to hear from you, like, first, of why this like switched out. Why you had such a reaction to be like, nope, I'm doing that.
Powerful reaction. Oh my God, the reasons. There's so many. Well, like, first of all, I'm wearing earrings that I've worn before on the podcast, and I've mentioned before that these are from my film. And obviously they're like very vaginal. They were commissioned for the film from friend of the podcast, Lily Hussey. And the second layer behind this story, though, is that about 2 weeks before production started, we had not decided. This pair of earrings becomes very important in the film because one of them comes up in an unexpected place and it tells us that something bad has happened. And so
Oh.
like they needed to be a really identifiable pair of earrings,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And I couldn't decide what to do. And like my costume designer had like we'd thrown a couple of ideas back and forth and nothing felt quite right. And then you remember this phase of my life, I was very sleep deprived at this
Yes.
time. And
Oh,
so
yes.
I was like I was taking like a little cat nap because I didn't have enough time to like sleep proper nights. And so I took a cat nap and like woke up with a gasp in the middle of it and went, Dead Ringer's earrings.
Oh my God.
I was like, I need the earrings to look like the gynecological instruments
Oh
from
my
Dead
God.
Ringers.
That's
And
so funny.
that was what actually made me think of Lily, because I was like, I need a metal worker. I need a metal
Yeah,
worker who can do
yeah.
some weird vaginal imagery.
Yeah, and we were the first time we met her was at our pop-up for the
It was,
pod at
at the
a
Crow's Nest.
I know. Oh my God, that's so funny.
Mhm.
So horror. It was always the
It
through
was always
line and the
meant to
thread was
be.
always there.
Mhm.
Oh my God.
But
That's
so
so funny.
Dead Ringers is a huge influence on me, even though as I said earlier, I've only seen it once. But
Yeah.
I feel like I've mentioned several times on the pod of late that I'm like really into
Doubles.
doppelgängers and movies about doubles right now, and this is like the
Oh
quintessential
my
movie
God.
about doubles
Yeah.
to me. Like
Jesus.
it does not get better in terms of all of the weirdest and most like gut-wrenching things you can do about twins.
Truly.
Like this movie is so deeply like this might be the saddest horror movie we ever cover. Like that ending
It's
just destroys me.
Again, the triple feature I had to do over
Yeah.
the course of like
Oh.
24 hours. I was truly living in dread.
Literally will like
Dread
rip your guts
Central.
out. Yeah.
Yeah.
And like the third, and like I like debated with myself about how much to talk about this, but I feel like in the spirit of the podcast and in the spirit actually of David Cronenberg, as we'll get to as I bring in some interviews with him, I think it's important that we talk about like the gynecology of it all. And like I, as somebody who has endometriosis and has really bad endometriosis and didn't know I had endometriosis for like a year and was just like, why am I bleeding all the time? And just like thought that was normal and then like lived through my life thinking that was normal and then had to go through a whole lot of horror stories with doctors in order to like get care. This movie like hits a deep chord of like, I'm not scared of dying. I'm scared of gynecologists. It's and like the horror that we as people who have to see them experience is so
horrible.
It's horrible.
Barely,
and like
barely updated.
Barely updated from this movie. As we're going to talk about, this is based on a true story, which makes it even worse. Yeah, and honestly, the true story is almost as bad as the film. Like it's really, really bad. But like because of that, and like the fact that this is really still the only film I can think of about gynecologists or gynecology, it's like this hits on like a very important shared experience in the lives of half the population that we just like don't talk about. And I think it does a really good job actually. Other people feel very differently, but like it is viscerally real.
I was gonna say I actually like I don't have because gynecology like it just like lets me down. Also the healthcare like listen, I could go on.
Absolutely.
I have had such a horrible TMI everybody period this week.
No, I'm so
that
sorry.
I'm basically
the worst timing for Dead Ringers.
One day I like passed out. I was asleep.
No. Oh my God, you poor thing.
And again, like, this, the universe in which I lived in this week with these movies and these things happening. And then I was just like,
so sorry.
I was like, am I in these movies? Like,
yes.
what is real anymore, Al? Who are you?
Which is very much what both of these films are also about, is the sense of what's real and what's not.
So you were, I'm your audience and
oh
preach.
my God. So now what did you think of it? And again, like, I won't be offended if it wasn't.
When did this one come out?
This one is from 88.
Is it early? Where does this lie in the Cronenberg timeline of movies?
This is post The Fly. This is post The Fly.
It's so I haven't, other than like the hits of Cronenberg, I actually haven't seen a lot of his other films. So I was really interested to see something kind of outside The Fly, outside Videodrome, outside Existence, like
yeah.
And it's just, it kind of it's funny because I forgot going into it. I'm watching it and I'm like, why is it hitting like X, Y, and Z? And I'm like, oh my God, because it's Cronenberg.
It's
like,
Cronenberg,
of course.
yeah.
And it's like, even with forgetting like from the get-go that it's Cronenberg, he always has this like sensibility, and it's like really this like dread.
Oh,
he has this amazing way of like just making you like in a very hot, sticky, sad blanket, like he throws it on you with like dread. And I just love his ability to do that. And like, I want to watch this again because I knew nothing about either these movies. I would say for me this one was like harder to follow along at first, so I want to rewatch
Very
it.
fair. Yeah.
But it's so like, me and you love tragic ends, and it's like,
God,
what
absolutely.
more can I say than like that was horrible.
It's
horrible.
Dana's Letterboxd review was, wow, I did not like this experience. 4.5 stars.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my God, same. I think that I need that on a t-shirt because that's actually exactly how I felt. Thank you, Dana, for encompassing what I was trying to. Yeah. Truly, that where it was just like, oh fuck. But like, that's what I love about him, and I love like I loved like watching too like a movie about like doppels, with how much you've been talking about it lately. So like that was I was like, of course Siena picked this because of that. So that was fun. And just like I don't know, his like, he lives in like this fun space for me where everything feels like this weird fever dream, like 80s,
Very
whether it's from the
much.
80s or not, world that is just like he's so interesting. And so like this just kind of like adds, like in the Cronenberg, like The Fly is truly one of my favorite, and I know it's an adaptation, like I just love it, but it was great in a horrifying way. Like, I can't say I want to watch it again because
you don't have to have enjoyed it. Like, yeah.
I did not enjoy it though, because it feels like Cronenberg, and I just love what he does. I just love the Cronenberg of him. It is so
a vastly uncomfortable movie though. Like, that's
wildly so. And like gynecology stuff, like gets me because it hits on that sense of like, it's horrifying from experience. It's horrifying to look out of, like, you know, it's always, there's just a lot to feel about it.
There's a lot,
for me.
It's potent.
And so, but I did like it. I liked it. I mean, it's Cronenberg is great. I love him. I liked Don't Look Now more. So like, if I'm like pairing them together.
I'm glad actually that I gave you that one then. That's a relief.
Yeah. No, like I am going to like sink into Don't Look Now world. And then I'm like just really happy to add like another Cronenberg film to kind of what I just don't know a lot of his like not hits. And so I mean, I love him and I love his movies, and this just confirms that I really like what he does, if that makes sense.
We'll talk about, he actually thought this was a major departure from him, and it is not.
Really?
I literally not.
I went, oh right, it's Cronenberg. That's why
I know.
Like that's why that feels like Cronenberg, because it fucking is. And I just love that he does him.
He thinks
so well.
This is him doing something very different.
Shut up. Wrong.
Which I
wrong, and for the best way, wrong.
So observant about human nature and such a brilliant filmmaker, and one of the filmmakers who is the worst at analyzing his own work. Like he is so funny.
I think that's what allows him to just be him.
Yeah, I agree. And
you know,
he is really truly one of my biggest idols in terms of like the kind of career he's had, the way he approaches making movies, like who he is as a human being in the world. Like, I just love this man. I love this man.
I was gonna say, like, in my world, like, I wish I would have in film school looked deeper into his works, because I feel like if I could choose a director to be like, he just is him.
He's the model.
Yeah. And I just, God, to be able to do that and people just know, like, you're so good at being you and your point of view.
Like, Cronenbergian is an adjective and we know what it means.
You know exactly. And there's literally no one like him. Like, literally no one like him. And it's just, it's so it's just, I very much enjoyed being able to watch something that one of his pieces that I was not familiar with. Like how I need to dive in because I was just like, but god damn, he really like makes me depressed for like days after every film. The Fly I just rewatched like 2 weeks ago. Every time I watch it, I want to cry more. Every time I watch it, I'm like, why am I doing this to myself?
I still haven't seen
Theo
it,
agrees.
and even just from what Theo agrees, and even just from what I know about it, like I know that it is such a sad story.
So sad.
Yeah,
and that's how I feel about this too. It's just like he's just such a he has the ability to do such gut punches.
Yeah,
and I love that though.
Gut punches, gut pulls, gut
gut pulls, gut twisted around. Yeah. Drained guts, you know.
Oh yes,
yeah.
all of the guts,
so,
all of the different gut things.
Yeah, I want to watch it again because I want to be able to like. I need to like the brothers. I struggled a tiny bit if I'm honest with like who was who, but like I feel like that was the fucking point.
Yes.
So I realized that was probably the intent. So
but it also does make it hard to understand what's going on at parts.
But now I know. Like I finished and I'm like,
yes,
okay.
yeah.
Like,
they just had to get in sync, right?
Brutal, man. But yeah. I loved, again, just a dreadful pair, Siena. So congratulations on our saddest pair yet.
That's what my birthday episodes are for. It's making the show sadder.
I don't want to get to next year. I do. I want to celebrate you. But
where am I going to take us next? Picnic at Hanging Rock. No, we're going to do that for Valentine's Day. Okay, let's get into Dead Ringers.
Yes,
so,
please.
Taglines. There's mainly one tagline, but I brought in two different versions of it. The first sort of, you see it on all the posters, is 2 bodies, 2 minds, 1 soul, which I think is a good, solid 80s tagline.
2 boys, 1 cup. Got it.
Oh my god, you're so right.
It kind of giving that.
Yeah, which is like really appropriate for this movie. Like that kind of is the vibe.
Yeah, both were fine.
2 boys, 1 gynecology lab?
One, yep.
2, I'm gonna stop myself there. Nope. But so anyway, there's that version of the tagline, and then there's another version that adds on "separation can be a terrifying thing," which is my favorite line from this movie. Lives in my head rent free.
Perfect.
So yeah. Mwah, love this, love the taglines, love the dialogue. And Cronenberg is one of the people we have to thank for that dialogue because he both directed and co-wrote it. Which again makes sense. This is a very him movie. It is, however, an adaptation, which we'll get to that in a second. It's a loose adaptation, and I'll tell you why. But so this is actually, shockingly enough, Cronenberg's first appearance on the podcast since 2023, the year we started. I know that feels wrong, doesn't it? I can't. I like thought about why. So like we did Videodrome Existenz as like a Cronen pairing very early on because we were like, we both love Cronenberg, right? We've got to. But I honestly think that Cronenberg is like such a strong and unique flavor that we got like paranoid about repeating him too early, and it felt like it had been less time than it had because he is that potent. And like I'm sure we're going to cover a lot more of him. He also did obviously The Fly, which again I have not seen and we need to cover. Scanners, The Brood, which is really, really good. Dead Zone, which I forgot he did. And he also did that before this. So this is post Dead Zone. Naked Lunch, which I love and hope we cover at some point. Crimes of the Future, The Shrouds, and my beloved Crash, which we can never cover, but is incredible. And this is co-written by Norman Snyder, who is a Canadian writer who'd actually appeared as an actor in Cronenberg's 1970 version of Crimes of the Future. He made like a short version of it and then a feature quite recently. And he also wrote Body Parts, Rated X, and Casino Jack. But at this point in his career, Snyder had only written 1 episode of a TV series and 1 very poorly rated feature called Partners. So he was still like pretty green. This is just his 3rd credit. And it is based on, ostensibly, a book called Twins by Barry Wood and Jack Giesland. Barry also wrote the book Doll's Eyes, which gets adapted into the Neil Jordan movie In Dreams, but the novel itself is loosely based on a bizarre true story, and actually the film is closer to the true story than it is to the novel, but we'll get to that. very upsetting. First, though, we've got to talk about our cast. We have Jeremy Irons as Beverly and Elliot Mantle, which the first time I watched this movie, I laughed out loud because I did not realize that this was what A Series of Unfortunate Events was shouting out when the two of the main characters, Klaus and Violet, have to disguise themselves at one point as as Siamese twins, and they are named Beverly and Elliot, and it's a shout out to this movie.
What?
Yes,
the way Series of Unfortunate Events
I know.
is like now our through line all the time lately.
It's everywhere. No, it specifically shouts out Dead Ringers.
Oh my god, I didn't even think about that.
So it's just delights me. And Jeremy Irons, he's also Humbert in the 90s version of Lolita, which I feel like is what a lot of folks our age know him from. And he's the voice of Scar in The Lion King. The other thing a lot of folks our general age group know him from.
That's a sexy voice.
Oh, I know. His voice is famous for very good reason. He's also Rickon in Assassin's Creed, Esteban in House of the Spirits, Simon in Die Hard with a Vengeance, Alfred in Batman vs. Superman, and Profion in Dungeons and Dragons. I hope I'm saying that right. Yeah. So he's popped up in a lot of different places. And obviously British actor. I love that it's just never acknowledged why this Canadian character who we see growing up in Canada has a posh British accent from childhood through adulthood.
I'm just
just vibes. Like,
not an issue at this point.
Listen, Jeremy Irons had enough to worry about with these two characters and all of the camera stuff that went into making that happen that we'll get to. Like, I'm glad that he didn't give himself also doing a Canadian accent.
He's like, I can't do that.
Like, it's fine. We have Geneviève Bujold as Claire, and I think she is Canadian, actually. She's also Anne Boleyn in Anne of a Thousand Days, Leona in The Adventures of Pinocchio, and Dr. Susan Wheeler in Coma. And we get Heidi von Paleski as Carrie. She's who I think is the girlfriend of Elliot, the like suave twin.
Yeah.
She's also Julie in Double Take, Dr. Elliot, which I thought was funny, in Rabid. Ada in Bordello, Cindy in A Hole in One, and she's also in Land of the Dead, which I wanted to shout out. So now we get to the writing. This film's original title actually was the same as the novel that it's based on. It was going to be called Twins, but
it wasn't.
but also there's another movie by that name, isn't there? That also came out
with
in 1988 with Arnold Schwarzenegger and Danny DeVito playing twins. It's the
That's
same
what I thought of when you said
year.
Twins.
Yes.
Oh, no way. I didn't really. Can you imagine people going to see that movie?
So, the directors of these two movies have the same thought. And director Ivan Reitman calls up David Cronenberg while they're both in pre-production and is like, hey, friend, hey, buddy, I'm also working on a movie called Twins. And here's the thing is my movie... them being twins is basically the only thing we have to sell this on. So if I can't call it Twins, like my movie is dead. And Cronenberg responds and says, how much? And he takes the money from selling the title Twins to Ivan Reitman to make the movie with Schwarzenegger and DeVito to help finance this feature.
No way.
Yes.
What the fuck? That's amazing.
And in proper Cronin fashion, it only gets weirder from here.
No way. I had no idea they had connections. Of course they did. And yes, they came out the exact same year and they were going to both be called Twins. So Cronenberg at the time, as I mentioned, thinks that this is like a big stylistic departure for him because he describes it as a quote unquote realistic drama instead of a horror movie. He says that this is not a horror movie at all, which I'm like, David.
God, I love he lives in such a weird internal world that he has like no compass for what realistic drama is in the rest of the world's vocabulary. Like to him it is. Yeah. Like absolutely. Yeah, this is real. What do you mean? Which like to his credit, it is again based on a very real story, but like I wouldn't call that a realistic story in itself. So talking about why he decides to make this, according to him, stylistic departure, he describes himself as being really interested in people who, quote, almost have willed themselves to be on the outer fringes of society, even though, as with our twins, who are very successful at the beginning of the film, from the outside they might seem to be very well acclimatized to society, perhaps even better at it than most people. But inside there's this germ of something growing, a crystal that's ultimately going to twist things around. And I find that very intriguing, and I like to study it.
I
Love.
love that.
So juicy. And according to director Peter Greenaway, who made A Z and Two Knots, which is about twin zoologists, which I think that they have a lot of clear influences from the same true story. But he says that Cronenberg sat him down and questioned him about making that movie for 2 hours at a hamburger joint about 8 months before making Dead Ringers. And it's hard to tell from the tone of the story how Greenaway feels about it and whether he's like offended by it or thinks it's cool. But I, at least as somebody who is a very big fan of both films, thinks that they're really interesting companion pieces rather than one being a ripoff of the other. Like, they're doing interestingly different things with some very parallel plot beats. And I'll also shout out that, so we've talked about 2 films, Dead Ringers and A Z and Two Knots. There is a 3rd film that I believe is also inspired by the Mantle twins, or not the Mantle twins, the Marcus twins, which are the real twins we're going to talk about in a second. And that is Twin Falls, Idaho. And it is directed and starred in by the Polish brothers, one of whom also acts in my film. Mark Polish, who I love. Yeah, so there's another connection there. And so just also, if you're interested in other movies that follow this basic plot structure with twins deteriorating, and that in that case it's 2 real identical twins who were working together, rather than one actor playing both. I'd highly recommend both of those other films. So now, I love both of them. All 3 are.
Of course, I was gonna say, of course, you love all of them.
Listen, I love a sad twin story. What do you want from me? Okay, so now we get to dig into the real story. So Cyril and Stuart Marcus. These were, oh my God, I didn't write down what year they were discovered. Travis, would you mind looking up for me when the Marcus siblings were found dead? I believe it was in 75, but I just want to triple check that. So they were real twin gynecologists, identical twin gynecologists, who were found dead and partly decayed in Cyril's Manhattan apartment, surrounded by, big TW here. There's like a lot of horrible stuff going on in this real story, and I think it's important to lay all of it on the table so that we understand how much of it really gets, gross, surgical table. So that we understand how much Cronenberg is taking from the real world, and particularly because I think it does help explain his mindset in terms of thinking this is realistic, because it is from this incredibly unreal true story. July of 1975. Thank you, Travis. Okay. Yeah. So it's right around this time of year in 1975. So they were surrounded by this mess so extreme at the time they're found that there was like human shit smeared on one of their armchairs. Like, it's a disaster. And when they're first found, the police think that it's been a suicide pact, and the reason they think this is the position their bodies are found, Stuart is the one who's died first, and Cyril had been seen outside the apartment afterwards, but by the time they were found, Stuart is lying naked on the floor with nothing but socks on, and Cyril is wearing shorts and lying face down in bed, so people think that, one of them killed themselves and then the other one did. It's later determined that they'd been taking large amounts of barbiturates, and it was either withdrawals or an overdose that killed them. But again, with one having died before the other, there's a lot going on there. And they did actually, in real life, switch places at their practice without telling their patients, according to an article about their deaths written by a reporter who had seen them as a patient. And so I brought in some quotes from this because, again, I feel like we need to. Like, if we're going here, we've got to go here.
Yeah. Oh my God. Real life
quote. Yeah, no, really, it's, oh my God. Again, like, reading about this just made it even scarier, made the film even scarier on a second watch, just like with Don't Look Now. So, quote, "The story that grew was that one was a good twin, the other a bad twin, but there was widespread disagreement as to which was the good one and which was the bad, and it was never quite clear whether the personality change was a result of the twins pinch hitting for each other, or whether because within each twin there was a split and ranging personality. I tended toward the latter belief and was convinced that I always saw the same doctor, but that he had dark and darker moods, which I'm like, ugh, that
Wow.
just sends chills up my arms.
Yeah.
And another patient describes how one twin, when she was being examined by one of the twins, would always examine her, which, very invasive procedure. Like, it's not a fun time for the patient. Would then always call his brother over to repeat his own examination, quote, as if one couldn't have an experience without sharing it with his brother. Yeah. Isn't that the worst?
I want to like turn myself inside out.
I know.
Oh God, that's so much like the movie too.
Yeah. Again, like, we need to know that this is real. Like,
oh God, that's a horrifying thing to experience.
I know. I feel so terrible for these poor women, and also, like, again, it has not gotten that much better. Like, it really hasn't.
No.
It's like we may not have
better.
identical twin gynecologists, but like the experiences that we're having are not that different. And there's the scene where as one twin, as Beverly is kind of decaying, he like stumbles away from Elliot. They're having like a dancing together moment, like a la Y tu mamá también, and then one of them like stumbles out and then faints.
Yeah.
That also kind of happened in real life. One brother found the other collapsed and needing CPR, but in real life, the twin Stuart was too scared to touch his brother and was begging somebody else, like, I can't touch him, you need to. And in the movie we get the opposite of that. We get this, don't touch him, he's my brother, I have to, which I'm like, wow. I love the switch that Cronenberg made there.
Same.
That is the only like difference that I found from the movie to the real story, honestly.
I don't know if I can watch this again.
Yeah, it's real upsetting, right? Okay, here's the most horrifying true story that I was like, there's no way that's real. It's real.
Oh no.
The scene where one doctor, and we never know which one it is, in the movie or in real life.
Oh, God.
One doctor tries to steal the anesthesia mask from a patient who's under. That really happened.
And that's the medical
that really happened. And it wasn't for a while that they were kicked out of practice even. And like the doctor, like the hospital tried to cover it up and like, all the stuff that you'd expect.
I was gonna say Dr. Death, it's a podcast and then it's a TV show, but the podcast is amazing. This doctor, people couldn't 100%. Figure out if he was doing it intentionally to be sinister or he was just like, he believed himself to be a good doctor and like, oopsied all the time. But the hospitals love to cover that shit up. Yeah. It's, and again, it's still not gotten better. So
it hasn't. It really hasn't.
Medical horseshit gets me, man.
So that's the true story. The Marcus twins. I think about them on like a weekly basis.
I'm gonna deep dive them. I don't think I've heard of them before.
To make it even more horrifying, I'll like put a picture in a TikTok, but like they're quite handsome also, which like
of course they are. That's how they get away with it.
Absolutely, 100%. And it's like the fact that all of these things were true in real life just is like Cronenberg really didn't take a lot of like poetic license in telling this story.
That's why he thought, he's like, this is real life. What are you talking about?
Yeah,
and like
this is a true drama.
He wasn't wrong,
guess, you see how he got there, even though it's ridiculous. Yeah.
Oh, yuck.
Not realistic, but real. So, moving on to themes, approach, and history. How the fuck does this film get made, right? Like, again, identical twin gynecologists going into a drug-induced frenzy and killing each other. Like,
Wild pitch to the studio.
Even today, this would be a hard movie to pitch.
Yeah.
Like, so... This story actually starts in 1981. So this film takes a full 7 years to get made, which makes me feel better as somebody whose film took about that long to get made as well. So Cronenberg goes to producer Carol Baum at Lorimar and tells her that he wants to make a movie about twins. That's where this all starts. He's like, I need a twin movie, which like, same, bro. And like, why? As he says, quote, almost all twin movies are either broad comedies in which the twins are exactly the same, like The Parent Trap, or they're thrillers in which one of the twins is a psychotic killer and the other is innocent. I've actually never seen a movie which features twins as a main character in which the twins were each real people. Which, like, boy, does this film do a good job of making each of the twins real people who, like, neither of them is the good one. Like,
right, yeah.
And also,
yeah.
neither of them is the evil one. They're both just fucked up human beings.
Yeah.
And so Carol comes back and is like, how about we remake Dark Mirror instead? And Cronenberg's like, nope, that's a good twin, bad twin movie. I'm not interested. But they both know about the story of the Marcus twins, and Carol recommends this book, Twins, and starts Xeroxing every article about the Marcuses that she can find for Cronenberg. And one of those is an article from Esquire that's titled Dead Ringers. So it actually, the title comes from an Esquire article.
Shut up. It's what a great
It's incredible. Yeah. And at the time, people thought it was like too schlocky for what the movie is. And I'm like, I think it's the exact right amount of schlock. I think it is perfect for the movie that it is.
I mean, do you know what Cronenberg is? Like,
literally,
like...
did we watch the same movie? Like,
hello?
The number of gross vagina jokes that these two characters make. Like, yes, this movie has earned the name, the schlock amount of Dead Ringers.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I just think that's fascinating.
It's so fun.
The reason actually that it gets described as this adaptation of the novel Twins instead of the real story is that the book Twins had already come out. And as Cronenberg basically says, the people who wrote the book were not sued. And so the easiest way for him to get the rights to this story is to say that he is adapting this fictional book and get the rights to the book rather than trying to go after the life rights of the real Marcus twins. Because one of them did actually have kids. So like there are surviving Marcuses.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so that's how he gets around the legality of it. And that's
playing Hollywood, man.
I know. It's genius.
Horrifying, but genius.
Truly. But that's why I say it's actually probably closer to the true story than it is to the book, because in the book they're actually lovers. Like there is some twincest going on, and we do not get
the brothers are lovers.
The brothers are lovers.
Oh no.
Yikes. So that's why Twins comes to play. So they get an initial investor on board and they draft a script with Snyder. But then Cronenberg, and this is still in 1981, and this movie doesn't come out until 88. But Cronenberg and the financier disagree about which draft to use. Cronenberg loves the first draft. He's like, great, let's shoot it. And the financier doesn't like it. Or no, the financier is like, great, let's shoot the first draft. Cronenberg doesn't think it's ready. They write a second draft. Cronenberg's like, I think this one is closer. Like, it's not perfect, but we can work with this. And the financier is just like, absolutely not. I want to use the first draft. And they break up over this, and the money guy pulls out. Then ABC at this time has a movie arm, and ABC's interested. They keep Cronenberg on the project, but they bring in a different writer, different producers, and Cronenberg hates the draft because he doesn't feel it allows for enough strangeness, which love that he protected that.
Yeah, same.
The project gets dropped from ABC, and then ABC's motion picture arm dissolves. So, like, probably wasn't meant to be anyway. And it's a good thing that it wasn't, because for this version, in order to get ABC to sign on, he'd agreed to have it told by Claire so that it has a more upbeat ending where like she's learned something from all this at least, which I'm like, that's not the film that this is meant to be. So I'm really glad that version didn't survive.
Yeah.
And then Dino De Laurentiis, who produced Blue Velvet, comes on board on the condition that it stay under 10 mil. And apparently De Laurentiis is the one who contributes the idea of Elliot like seducing women and passing the sloppy seconds on to Beverly, which I think is brilliant. So like, thank you, De Laurentiis, for giving us that.
Yeah.
I think it's a hugely important part of their dynamic.
Absolutely. It adds like a really, really, really interesting layer to the characters.
That bit where Elliot is like, you'd still be a virgin if it wasn't for me. And Beverly says no, but you can tell he doesn't quite believe it.
Yeah.
Like,
absolutely.
Incredible. And Cronenberg, looking back on this long and involved pitch process, mentions that to his great surprise, when he was pitching to studios, they were interested in the twins, but they hated the idea of doing a movie about gynecology. And he says,
shock to no one.
Oh, I know. Exactly. Shock to David Cronenberg, apparently. But he's salty.
Wait, you don't like gynos?
And literally, he's like, "What? I thought this was really fun." So he says, "Quote: More than once, I had someone at a studio say, 'Yeah, but do they have to be gynecologists? Couldn't they be lawyers?' And the answer was that if you think they could be lawyers, you really don't understand this project. It's not that I'm not interested in lawyers and I love gynecology. I do think he loves gynecology, but that's another debate. It's that a huge part of the film has to do with the relationships between men and women and the particular strange approach to that subject matter that the twins take. That they should choose a profession which gives them a relationship to women that is very strictly regimented, in which everything is well defined, kept at a distance, is part of what's important in the movie. That their approach to sex or sexuality should even be clinical." He also notes that people keep calling the story too dark, which was something that I got from studios when I was pitching RD, actually. So I'm like, same, love that.
Yeah.
And on that kind of clinical coldness in his filmmaking, which is something that people have talked about as a very kind of classic Cronenbergian trait, he's gone on the record about that and says that, quote, "People have thought my films are cold or distant, but that's my attempt to avoid sentimentality, which is not the same as emotion." Oscar Wilde said that sentiment is the death of true emotion, and you can feel the desperation in filmmakers to generate emotion via sentimentality. If there's emotion in my movies, I want it to be real, hard-won and deserved by the plot, not the easy stuff, which I think he does a great job of that. I don't think there is a sentimental bone in this movie's body, despite how
not this one.
How immensely emotional what's going on in it is.
It's also like to have them be lawyers is like such the opposite of anything Cronenberg would do. Like, where would be the fleshy element of it, like the body horror of it all? You know what I mean? Like,
there's nothing for him to sink his teeth into there. So at this point, we have flesh lawyers, says Travis. From what I understand about Crimes of the Future, which I've not yet seen, it kind of is that, but we'll see. I feel like that one could definitely be covered on the podcast from what I've heard. Anyway, at this point, we've got Dino De Laurentiis on board. We've got the film greenlit, and it's December of 1986. But all is not well. All is not well in the Kingdom of Denmark. So, in the Kingdom of De Laurentiis. By the summer of 87, when the film is 8 weeks into pre-production, De Laurentiis is in dire financial straits and cuts the project from its slate and has Cronenberg in for a meeting and is like, "You're gonna kill me, but I can't make this film." By this point, Carol Spear, who's the production designer, had already almost finished building all of the sets in the warehouse, which cost $300,000 for a couple of reasons. They had to be very sturdy for the camera rigs that they're using, which we're going to talk about. And they had to be very high because there were artists operating below, which we'll also talk about. And because of this, they did not want to have to tear this down. Cronenberg is like, it would cost like $30,000 just to destroy what we've already built, and then the next person coming on board would have to do that, would have to rebuild that in addition to taking on that cost. It's like the more it gets added onto this, the harder it is to find another investor to step in, right? And so what he does is he rents out, so they've rented this warehouse. He starts renting out all the space that isn't set to other companies in the meantime to buy himself a little bit of time while he steps in to be his own producer. And over the next 10 months, he raises the funds himself with a combination of pre-sales of distro rights and funding from the Canadian government, about $2 million, because this is this point in Canada where, because of the tax shelter laws, like there's more money for film. There's still a lot better funding for film in Canada than there is in the US, but there was this period where it was like really incredible. And Cronenberg has this hilarious quote. A lot of my research for this comes from this book called Cronenberg on Cronenberg.
I love those ones.
So good. And he like reflects on this moment when De Laurentiis canceled on him and says, quote, "I couldn't believe it, but I didn't go crazy, throw things around or scream and yell. I'm Canadian. My curse is that I see everyone's point of view." Which I sent this
half Canadian to understand. Too real.
I sent this to like my one Canadian friend and was like, "Is this accurate?" And they were like, "Yes, this is 100% a crucial part of the Canadian spirit." So one more fascinating peek behind the curtain of how Cronenberg approached this material before we dive into production. He says, quote, "I felt while I was working on the movie that I made it primarily out of the female part of myself. Maybe that's why it was so successful in terms of its revulsion factor. I was doing these twins from a woman's point of view. In a crude sense, it's certainly the least macho movie I've ever done."
Oh my God, I love that.
I know, isn't that amazing?
I love that. That's so cute. Why is that so cute?
I know! He goes on the record and is like, "I made this as a woman." Like,
yeah. I was,
love
oh my
him.
God. What's his name?
Daddy Cronenberg.
Yeah. Oh my God, that's so cute. Oh my God, that's I love that though. That's really interesting.
It's fascinating, right?
For him
Especially
to say.
because, he as a filmmaker, especially at the time that this was being released, kept getting criticized for, like, people called his work pornographic. People said that he was demeaning the women in his movies. Like, people called him anti-feminist left, right, and center. And he's just sitting over here and he's like, I'm trying to take a female. Yeah, I'm a woman.
Yeah.
Like, which I've one of the podcasts that I listen to has like a running crack theory that Cronenberg is an egg. And I'm like, the term we just talked about on the last episode.
Yeah.
And like, while I don't necessarily, and I ran this by Dana too, neither of us think that Cronenberg is an egg, but I do think that there is something very like genderqueer about him as a person and his work. And I think we hear that from him.
Yeah. That's so funny.
Yeah, I don't think we've gotten a quote from any male director we've covered that has been that explicit about like, I made this from the female part of myself. Like,
yeah, not from that. The closest I can think of is Ira Levin, the author, talking about Stepford Wives, when he was just like, I had not written, I think or it was the director, but they were like, I had not like I wrote this from the perspective, and I like started to care more because I was thinking from her point of view, but not like from her point of view, not me and my feminine side or my female self. So that was as close as we got. But this really tipped over.
It really tips the scales.
What a fun quote. I
know. Yeah. So delighted that I found that. Moving into production. So for the budget, has like a couple little bits of hint / context. Shot in Canada, shot over 11 weeks. And again, this is post The Fly, but we've heard about all of the money struggles that it went through. Yeah. What do we think?
And we said it had to be under 10 mil anyways, and then they did the 3.
But then they dropped out.
Oh, I want to say, and he had to raise things on his own. I'm gonna say he did it for like 3.5 million.
Oh my God, it was between 11 and 13.
Oh my God.
This was so much more money. His ass off.
Oh my God. I was like, no, like surely no way.
I know.
He raised more. That's also, whoa, that's a lot of money.
It's really impressive. And it's not, especially because we heard that 2 million was from the government. That means that he raised like between 9 and 11 mil just in pre-sales.
Right.
So
that's
go Cronenberg.
Actually insane.
And again, he wasn't the only producer on this project. He had one like other primary producer, but he did a lot of this work himself.
Wow.
So we love, gotta give some appreciation. It's not clear to me whether that was in Canadian or US dollars, but at the time, like the exchange rate was not that far off. So just kind of, it gives us a general sketch of where the budget was. It shot on a combination of locations and built sets. As I mentioned, we did have some sets waiting in sound stages, or waiting in warehouses rather. And those two were the clinic and the twins' apartment that were soundstage work.
That makes sense.
They look like sound stages, which like, and I love that. That's there, and we'll talk about actually why the twins' apartment looks the way it does. I found some fun production design details there. I also just wanted to shout out, most films have their own LLCs because like you don't want, if one of your films does badly, you don't want it to take down the entire business, so you make like a different LLC for each movie. And one of the production companies listed on this film is called Mantle Clinic Limited, which I just thought was adorable.
That's amazing.
So had to shout that out. Moving on into casting, gynecology comes back. That proves to be a very difficult thing to get American actors to agree to do. In fact, it's impossible. Cronenberg cannot find any American actor who's willing to play a gynecologist.
Oh, everyone get over yourself.
I know. So here's a quote. He says, "It's interesting what a taboo it is. Everyone has a gynecology story, male or female, and yet it's very hard to find an actor who'd play a gynecologist. There's a whole macho sense of what acting should be amongst American actors. They'd play killers, they'd play robbers and thieves, but they wouldn't play a gynecologist." And I'm like,
doesn't that say so much?
It's
like,
so true.
Just
so
leave that there, you know? Ruminate on it.
And like Cronenberg, I didn't bring in this full quote, but he goes on to talk about like, all of these men are fingering their girlfriends, and yet they're disgusted by a gynecologist. Like, what are you doing?
It's because men hate women.
Yes.
I can't scream it anymore. Wild. That's crazy, though, actually.
And among the actors who turned the part down based on subject matter, according to the DVD commentary, were Robert De Niro, who refused to play a gynecologist,
of course,
and William Hurt, who thought that one role was more than enough to contend with and was like, I'm not doing two. Which, honestly, fair. It's a lot of work. Jeremy Irons
we could have gotten Jeff Goldblum back from The Fly. I feel like he would have been great, too, though. Don't you think? He's got like I don't know, interesting...
I almost feel like he'd be too hot. Like,
I know.
I feel like you need them to be you need them to feel like repulsive, you know? Like they're physically attractive but repulsive. And like I feel like Jeff Goldblum is just dripping in so much charisma that like I don't know if he could do that.
Yeah, I mean, that's true. It would just give us another reason to be like, they're not that bad.
Yeah, exactly. Like, but wouldn't you?
Yeah. Like, I'd be fine with it.
Yeah.
That's fair. That's fair.
So how do we get Jeremy Irons? Or like what convinces Jeremy Irons where everybody else was unwilling to? Well, he was both attracted to and intimidated by the challenge of the two roles, and jokes in this behind the scenes footage that he like has nightmares all the time about the fact that he's in every scene, that he's on screen so much. And he says that, quote, "I suppose I started with the understanding that I was playing two sides of the same character," which I think very much goes to the sense you have of I can't tell them apart, which we're going to talk much more about that. But he describes the main difference between them as being their energy levels and notes that, and we'll talk more about this too, where he places energy. He's using the Alexander technique, which is about different kind of like energy placements in the body. And he notes that where you put your energy affects everything from how you move into a room to how you hold the muscles in your face. And that makes the twins, at least at the beginning, look physically different. You can especially see it in the way he holds his lips. Elliot, like his upper lip kind of comes forward a little bit more, whereas Beverly, his mouth like sags a little more at the corners.
Oh, see, I want to rewatch that. That reminds me of everyone was talking about Michael B. Jordan in Sinners having to play twins, and he does the same thing where he holds his like jaw muscles.
You see these little differences in the face.
Oh, I didn't know what it is. Okay, because there's always like a subtlety. It's
of course,
there was so much going on.
Yeah, there's the twin gynecology of it all to pay attention to.
Truly,
yeah,
I was like, who am I?
Yeah, exactly. So we'll talk more about where he's got those Alexander placements in a second, but. First, an unexpected boon that Jeremy Irons encounters while he's filming. He like kind of half jokes, half seems to be, I think, probably a little bit of seriousness there, that he'd probably be a better director than an actor because he always feels like he knows what his scene partner should do, but never what he should do. And here he is his scene partner.
Yeah. Oh my God.
He gets to decide exactly what the other person should do. And at the start of production, he's very, very meticulous about keeping them separate. So he shoots each twin on different days. He has a different dressing room for each twin. He has these very separate wardrobes.
Whoa.
Yeah. But as it goes on, they like shoot a few days, and then he and the director sit down, and he and Cronenberg look at the footage, and he's like, this is not going to work. And the reason why is because he says nobody would ever mistake these two men for each other. I need to mix them up more and make them harder to distinguish. Oh. And so he gets rid of the two dressing rooms. He mixes their wardrobes all together. He starts doing all of the work with the two twins on the same day instead of on different days, so that he'll do like the twin once and then come back and do it as the other twin. And he also realizes that he needs to find some sort of an internal only method of distinguishing between them, particularly so that because there's all these scenes where one twin is pretending to be the other twin but isn't really that twin, and we need to like see a little hint of that difference. Like when Beverly is playing Elliot at the beginning, when like he's really shy and is trying to do this seduction but like can't quite get into
there.
it.
Yeah.
Can't quite get there. Like we need to see that like he's trying to be Elliot, but he's not. And in order to do that, he's like, it needs to be something that's just internal. And so what he says is, quote, I would do the external mannerisms that I knew about, that the other twin would know about from watching them, without changing that internal switch to the other characters so that hopefully the audience would be able to see. Which I think
I can't, like, that's when like you hear actors, you're like, holy shit, like there's so much going on and like so much thought that like, wow, he really cared about that too. That's insane. What a journey he went on.
Yeah, truly. And again, like to play not just two different characters where you're your own scene partner, so you have nobody to act off of, but also that they are constantly playing each other, but not doing it perfectly, but doing it just well enough that they could convince somebody who doesn't really know them. Like, that's got to be one of the hardest acting challenges of all time.
Yeah, truly. I was gonna say, like, if that had to have drawn him into it for sure.
Oh, absolutely.
My God, what a challenge.
Like, I mean, thinking about this compared to the characters that Lupita Nyong'o plays in Us, like, they have switched places, but it's one permanent switch over the course of years and years. And so, like, she is able to develop these two very distinct, like, you can tell when it's red. You can tell when it's red. And that's so different from what Jeremy Irons has to do here. And that's not disparaging Lupita's performance. That's just like, this is a lot to expect your actor to be able to handle. And so how does he create that switch? There's one costuming note that I'll make, which is that they put lifts in the shoes of one twin to subtly change where their center of gravity is falling, whether they're standing on the balls of their feet or their heels. I've never been able to find, though, which was which I think is really interesting. But the other thing that he does, and he doesn't reveal this until many decades after production, but he explains that for Elliot, he put his center of energy, his Alexander technique, in the middle of his forehead because that's where you headbutt from. Whereas for Beverly, I know! For Beverly, he puts his energy point in his throat, since that's a really vulnerable place in your body. You could get killed from there. But it's also, as he puts it, a quote-unquote more feminine placement. And so he would keep that energy point consistent regardless of whether the characters were playing each other or not, and then just adjusted the external manifestations. So that, like, when Beverly is playing Elliot, he's still holding his mouth a little bit differently, even if he's being more jokey and expansive and stuff like that.
So smart and like simple when you boil it down. Just and that's easy to remember in a scene versus like doing a bunch of things. It's like, okay, this is where the energy is coming from. Got it. Like I can now pretend to be my brother.
Exactly.
With being me. Genius.
It's
simple. Love it.
What juicy acting tidbits.
Yeah, that's wild.
And on the idea that the twins in the novel had some twincest going on, Jeremy Irons says, quote, I find their attraction fundamentally homosexual but platonic. It allows them the freedom to relate to other bodies, women's in their professional life, their lovers, or each other's, on an unfettered physical level rather than blind to emotional implications, which, if I'm being honest, I don't fully understand what he means by that, but I thought it was interesting and wanted to bring it in. I don't know if it's like a totally internally consistent statement, but I do think you kind of get this sense that there is an attraction between these two twins, even if I don't think they're acting on it.
I was going to say, like, I always not often, but I always am like so intrigued by twin relationships. And there are some that seem past platonic, past sibling, that is just like, what is that connection?
And I mean, like,
you know what I mean? Like, I will never be able to know.
You share that much with a person, and like, it's got to be a little weird, right? Like,
right.
And so,
it's such a like, I'm just so intrigued by twins in that way that it is like, there are some twins that definitely seem like, what's happening here?
There is something past the usual sibling relationship. And I think especially like there's so many anecdotal stories about twins being able to tell when something significant happens to their twin. Like this is something that I was talking to Mark Polish about. Like he has this experience with his twin where like they, you know, sometimes they know things about each other without knowing them. And that is a very common experience among among identical twins, and is part of why according to Cronenberg, this movie is particularly beloved by a lot of twins, because this really gets into it. So anyway, getting on into the making of, and we've got a couple of juicy things in here, but a lot of the stuff that I really wanted to get into was actually this pre-production stuff. So we are kind of like, we're in the second half. So our cinematographer is Peter Szuchicki, another Polish DP, born in Poland, was not raised there, I believe, but this is his first of many collabs with Cronenberg. But at this point, he had already shot The Empire Strikes Back.
Jesus Christ.
And the Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Oh my God.
So incredible that these three titles are all the same person: Rocky Horror, Empire Strikes Back, and Dead Ringers, shot by the same person. But anyway, put a pin in Star Wars for cinematography, because that is important. He goes on to shoot Existenz, Mars Attacks, A Dangerous Method, Eastern Promises. He's still alive, but he seems to be shooting less now. And he said about his working relationship with Cronenberg that, quote, "He didn't tell me how to shoot the film visually. Our approach is, once the script is there, and once we've found ourselves about to make the film, we say to each other, I don't know what I'm going to do." And the other one goes and says, I don't know what I'm going to do. And then they just get on set and figure it out, which I love.
I love it, but that would give me the most anxiety. I would have too many storyboards, too many mood boards, too many ideas about things. But
they're working on vibes, man.
Hey, listen, at least they both agree on that. That's what you want, is your director and your cinematographer to really just have
on
the same language.
Page. Yeah, even if that language is complete chaos.
Yeah. Wow.
And goes on to describe the atmosphere on set as being relaxed and serious at the same time. So it's like very chill, but very like, we take this, our work is important, which I think is a good combo. Absolutely. And he also notes that Cronenberg is a director who knows how he's going to edit going into the shoot, and therefore gets relatively little coverage. So they like go in, figure it out, shoot a couple versions, and then get out, which I think also he says becomes much more pronounced over time. But like, yeah,
listen, he knows. He's listen. We love his movies, so I can't no notes to say to him about that.
He may not know the night before, but he knows when he gets there.
Yeah,
or he figures it out.
That makes me sick.
It's there were a couple of shots that I did like that with my cinematographer, but I always had like a sketch going in.
I was gonna say, like, there's a time and a place, but it shouldn't be the whole movie.
It's not the whole movie.
I mean, I guess I shouldn't say shouldn't. It's one way of doing it.
But it's not
many people's way.
Yeah, for good reason. Moving on to costume design, because this movie has some iconic costumes. The costume designer is David's sister Denise Cronenberg, and this is actually and her first project as costume designer was The Fly, and this is only her second after that. Insane. But she goes, I know, for this to be your second project and for The Fly to be your first project, wild. She goes on to do Naked Lunch, Crash, Existenz, A Cool Dry Place, Dracula 2000, Spider, the 2004 Dawn of the Dead, Dead Silence. So we've talked about her work before on a couple different places. A Dangerous Method, The Incredible Hulk, and Resident Evil Afterlife. Wow. And I found a great behind the scenes interview with Denise talking about the project, where she says, quote, "At first, when reading the script, I just thought, oh, hospital, and was counting on doing ordinary green hospital gowns. And then as the film went along, David said, I really think this scene needs something more. I think it should be red." And I said, what? And he said, it should be with something with religious overtones or something. And apparently she could not get enough red fabric to do this in the area where they were shooting in Canada. And so she starts buying and hand dyeing enormous amounts of red fabric to get enough of that intense blood red that she needs.
Oh, wow.
Which I think is wild, that this incredibly recognizable, like cardinal-esque look to them was something that he kind of just like stumbled into partway through production.
That's
He's like,
insane.
you know,
It'd be a good idea, actually. It's just like,
oh my God. And also like to talk about sibling relationships on this set, when the twins are little in that opening scene where we get our cold open and one twin's like, do you know about sex?
Yeah.
She dressed those two twins, who are actual twins, that in that case we do have identical twin actors, which I think is really interesting to note because they're very different heights at the time they appear in this movie. One of them is much taller than the other. But she dressed those twins based on family photo albums of David Cronenberg from the 1950s. So they are dressed like two little David Cronenbergs.
What a sisterly thing to do.
I know. Isn't that adorable?
That is really fun.
It was also her idea to have one twin dress very formally and the other be more casual at the beginning of the movie, which we then, of course, see them wearing each other's clothes as it goes on.
Yeah, I love that.
But I love that there is more of a distinction at the beginning and then it kind of, you know, gets more intermeshed.
Yeah.
Production design is by Cronenberg regular Carol Spear, who has been working with Cronenberg since The Dead Zone. And in addition to all of the Cronen classics that you would expect, she's also worked on Dracula 2000, Blade 2, League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, Pacific Rim, the Carrie remake, the Archangel episode of Black Mirror, which is season 4, episode 2.
I love that one. Yep.
And Silent Hill.
Hey!
Which some incredible production design also.
Yeah, shit.
And here's I told you I found a fun note about the apartment sets.
Yes.
Cronenberg said that, quote, Dead Ringers, he's like talking about the feeling of the movie. He says, Dead Ringers is close to home. The feeling is like an aquarium, as though these are strange exotic fish creatures. That's why I wanted the apartment to be purpley and blue and submarine. Yeah. So they're like, they're these little exotic fish that we're watching swim around in their little container.
Oh my God. Love that.
Yeah.
That's
so sad.
So fun.
So fun, so sad.
Yeah.
So now we get to move into special effects, which are designed by Gordon Smith, who also did special effects makeup for Jacob's Ladder, Natural Born Killers, Born on the 4th of July, X-Men, Dark Water, and was sometimes credited under the incredible title Gordon Smith and the Gore Boys. Like, that's what would appear in the credits. Which like, new merch.
Damn it.
New merch.
Gordon Smith.
The Gore Boys.
The
Gore
Boys.
So good.
Gordon Smith and the Gore Boys. God,
isn't that adorable?
That's cool. Why are people cool? God, some people are so fucking cool.
Stop being this cool, Gordon. And so, as Cronenberg points out, choosing to do a film in which you have one actor playing two characters means that basically every shot has, or at least every scene has hidden special effects shots. Like the whole movie is special effects. And how did they do this? Part of the filming relied on split screens, which is your classic, one part of the screen's coming from this, one part's coming from this, but it also used early computerized camera movements, which I thought was so cool to find out about. And we're going to talk a little bit about what they did. I found some footage of it that I'll put into TikTok, but as Jeremy Irons points out, the fact that they were using this computerized camera process means that he had to be very, very precise about his timing in relation to the camera's motion, because this is for like shots where you get like a tracking shot down the hallway of the twins. The way that they do that is they have the scene shot one way with one twin first, go back and have this computerized camera movement so that it repeats at the exact same pace as before. That in order to be able to do that, Jeremy Irons has to keep up not only the exact same pace as the character, who's a different character that he just played interacting with himself, but also with the computerized camera. And so what he ends up doing is he starts having them like have an iron bar in front of his stomach that's like attached to the camera so that as he moves along, it's keeping him at the exact same pace and distance so that he doesn't have to think about that.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's not the camera movement then at that point you have to worry about. He's like, shit, if I can fuck this up, that's genius. Because I was like, yeah, how did he have someone like a bar? Perfect.
Yeah, that's like so much for one actor to keep control over.
Yeah, wildly
especially when you're giving such a detailed performance, and sometimes one character is playing the other character but isn't. Like
I was gonna say, yeah, too many things.
Too many moving parts. Yeah, exactly. give this man two kinds of bars, honestly.
Yeah.
Give him this bar and then get him out of here and take him to a bar.
Take him to a bar.
So this is also where we get to pull the pin out of Star Wars cinematography.
Yes.
Because one of the early motion control rigs was built for Star Wars and helped revolutionize that tech in 1977.
Stop.
But by 1988, it's still pretty new. Not that many people have worked with it. It was the cinematographer's first time working with and even hearing of the technology, according to him, which I'm like, wait, but you worked on a Star Wars movie. How did that happen?
You worked on a Star Wars.
You did a Star War. Go see a Star War.
Go see a Star War.
So apparently his first time hearing of the technology, I don't know if he just forgot, but anyway,
Sure.
it is so not the standard at this point in Hollywood history that the electrical wiring for the motion control apparatus blows out partway through shooting and is out of commission for 2 weeks getting repairs.
Oof.
Because there was apparently only one motion control rig in North America at the time, and it was on this production, so there is no backup. And according to AFI, this particular rig may actually have been built specifically for dead ringers, so no wonder it's one of a kind. So like, yeah, that's gone.
Yikes.
You're screwed. We've just got to wait for it to be fixed. And unlike Meryl's experience on Death Becomes Her last episode, Irons went in really worried about the technical requirements and was like concerned that it was going to be a distraction while he was shooting. And ends up finding out that actually it's not as bad as he expected. And he says he thinks one of Cronenberg's smartest decisions was that he's actually really minimal in where he uses these split screen twin shots. So he's not looking for opportunities to show it off. Instead, he's only using them when he would actually show the two characters in the same frame if it were two actors, instead of trying to bend the rules to showcase the tech.
Smart.
So that's what we have on the twins. Now we get a little bit of Gordon Smith's hands-on special effects work, which obviously there's that dream sequence. It's the most Cronenberg-y thing in the movie. Smith worked very hard on that, but there was also originally a second dream sequence, which was shot, and we're going to talk about it. It did not see the light of day, but it did get shot.
No.
And there are stills, which I can share, in which Beverly has another nightmare and sees a shrunken version of Elliot growing out of his own torso.
That.
Yeah, you can kind of picture it just from that description. Yeah. And according to Smith, Cronenberg wanted to have a puppet in this atrophy scene, and Smith is like, please don't make me do that, because in order to, it's going to have to be so small that like all of these different parts are going to have to be built at such a tiny scale that it's just not going to look like the way a human moves. And instead he's like, what if we just show Jeremy's perspective of the legs and make puppets of just that? And Cronenberg's like, no, I'm dead set. We need puppet Jeremy, which is part of why they all have to be on these risers, is for this unused puppet scene, because you needed to have room for puppeteers to be underneath.
Yes, we talked about it on Bride of Chucky.
Exactly.
Oh my God, stop it. Stop.
So Cronenberg's like, I need my puppet Jeremy. And so they cast Jeremy Irons' head in an alginate material that would shrink to half its original size. Whoa. And then did multiple rounds of this to shrink it and get it small. So they would cast it, shrink it, and then cast the shrunken version and shrink that to get it smaller and smaller and smaller. And then by the end, it's so small that even putting a layer of paint on it starts losing detail. Oh, wow. And they've been doing this work for so long that they never have a chance to test it until they get to set. They've got 6 puppeteers operating it underneath the stage. They start rolling. They call for the puppet to start moving, and there's something terribly wrong. The puppet is barely moving. They shoot it, but Gordon's like near tears. He thinks that he's ruined Jeremy Irons' performance by giving him nothing to play against, which, like, I've seen photos of this puppet. He had something to play against, and it's terrifying. Like, imagine you're seeing your own shrunken head coming out of your stomach. Even if it's not moving, that's horrifying.
I need a visual of this.
Yes.
I'm dying.
So he's distraught. He takes it home, tears it apart, and this urethane material has leaked all over the inside of the mechanics so that they're frozen. And I know. And so the shot has to be scrapped. Well, that's actually not why it gets scrapped, but it does get scrapped, and we're going to tell you why in a second. But he says they came so close to proving David right that Puppet Jeremy would be possible, and he's so sad that he didn't quite manage it.
No, that actually makes me really sad.
I know. There was also supposed to be like more of a twin fight sequence, and so where like the twins are like kind of like attached to each other's bodies and like kind of wrestling. And so he built this like whole urethane girdle system, but in order for that to be hidden, they would have had to be wearing pajamas, and David wanted them nude so he wouldn't even look at it. And Gordon Smith is still clearly sad about this, even though it doesn't make it into the final film. But so anyway, these scenes stay in the cut up until testing, when Cronenberg asks the audience, like, do the two dreams feel like too much? And he ends up deciding, partially based on the audience feedback and partially based on his own instincts, that yeah, just one is enough. And if he has two, he's risking this sense of it being grounded that he feels he has.
Yes.
And he's worried about critics saying that he can't resist his old tricks and falling back into the schlock of it all. Yeah. And so he holds back on it, which I'm like, give me Puppet Jeremy.
Yeah, right? Oh, I feel like robbed a
I
little
know!
bit.
We've been robbed of Puppet
was
Jeremy.
In this test audience that they had.
Damn. So sad. And then the shot where Jeremy's lying on top of himself, for that they basically just had like the sheet on a wire so that the cut lines could be changed easily without disrupting continuity, so that they had like a clear point to separate them. And so when I'm talking about like the separations in these shots where it's moving, they had like a computer screen on set where they had like this very rudimentary feed of the footage they were shooting, and could start doing these like test composites to make sure that the lighting was matching, that the placement was matching, because usually when you have a split screen, there's like a seam in the wall in between them that you use to hide the cut, and this did not have that. Instead, for several of these shots, they're constantly moving the split across the screen as it goes by using computer technology.
Insane for the time.
I know, it was brand new.
Cool to be on set to witness.
And let's see, other set pieces. Yes, okay. Music. So it's a Cronenberg movie. Score has to be Howard Shore, right? Always. We also covered Howard on The Cell, Existence, Videodrome, and Silence of the Lambs. And he has been with Cronenberg since his own earliest days. 2 of Howard Shore's first 3 credits are Cronenberg's Scanners and The Brood, which I think is adorable that they like found each other so young. Yeah. He also did Seven, Ed Wood, Dogma, High Fidelity, and the Lord of the Rings series. And Howard very much is of the belief that, quote, film music is about point of view, which, as you can imagine, means that this film gives him a lot of juicy stuff to play with, and lets him do what he describes as very like subtext-based work. Okay, rounding the corner, we're at release. Box office figures that I've seen are roughly 14.5 mil, but that's the reason that I'm not having you guess is because this is a combination of 2 different sources, one for domestic and one for international, and I don't super trust either of them, so like just call it what roughly. It is. Somewhere in this area. I think it's safe to say that it probably didn't make like much of a profit, if any, but I don't think that it really lost money either. That's which good. Again, for a film like this, kind of incredible. Yeah, especially truly. Don't Look Now lost money,
wildly,
and that was the A side with Wicker Man. And reception, critics at the time were definitely on the positive side of the spectrum, but divided about a lot of things. And the one thing everybody agreed on was Jeremy Irons' performance, which, you know, there's nothing to fault there. Everybody agrees it's incredible. But Roger Ebert gave it 2.5 stars and says, okay, this was so funny.
High for him, to be fair.
Yeah, honestly, it could have been a lot worse. On one level, it's like a collaboration between med school and a supermarket tabloid. I saw it at the Toronto Film Festival with several women friends who said it was harder for them to take than I, a man, could possibly imagine. But they were fascinated while it was on the screen. The secret may be that Cronenberg approaches his trashy material with the objectivity of a scientist. It is his detached, cold style that makes the material creepy instead of simply sensational. It's the kind of movie where you ask people how they like it, and they say, well, it was well made, and then they wince.
Oh my
Which I'm
God.
like,
Isn't
I think that's
that I feel like we just
kind
had
of
that
your
conversation
reaction. Yeah.
an
Like,
hour ago.
it's
Yeah.
well made and also wins.
Maybe wins. Yeah.
Which, like, I'm also just like tiny little mini tiny desk rant corner. I'm fascinated by this idea that it's like scarier for women, which, like, I'm putting that in quotes because, like, it's a very bioessentialist take.
Yeah.
I think what he's really getting at behind that is like people who've been to gynecologists. Because, like, as horrifying as the gyno horror in this movie is, I find what happens with Bev and Ellie at the end of the movie way more like bone deep haunting than the medical horror.
Yeah.
Because I've had so many horrible experiences at gynos in real life, and you just have to live through them and go on. And so, like, that to me, I'm like, I don't know that you're picking up on the right reasons here,
Yeah.
Ebert.
I mean,
but
that ending was insane.
it's, oh my God.
Truly
the like
devastating.
sad swig of the soda bottle, like eating cake by hand, like, oh.
You know what got me was when he woke up and the first thing he goes with his brother, I forget which in like the background, like splaying. They both wake up on the same table, like same table, different table. And he goes, I had the strangest dream. And I'm like, oh no. Like that line, I was just like, I want to turn it off.
It's so awful.
Turn it off at I had the strangest dream. That was a great movie. The end.
And their conversation about the first Siamese twins. That's just, oh my God, so sad.
But yeah, that line in particular really, like, that moment, I was just like,
Beverly, no, what have you done?
So
it's got
so bad.
This movie has very big Greek tragedy energy. And it holds an 86% from critics and an 82% from audiences on Rotten Tomatoes. So a lot of agreement there, which I love. Yeah. It did do really well at Critics Awards, though, and it was nominated for 12 Genie Awards, which I did not know are Canada's now defunct version of the Oscars. And it won 10. It also... let's see, when Jeremy Irons won the Oscar in 1991 for Reversal of Fortune, he thanked Cronenberg in his speech, which is very cute. He's like, some of you might understand why. I also need to thank David Cronenberg.
Wow.
And the Toronto Film Festival has named it one of the best Canadian films of all time on multiple occasions, although apparently it would have been voted in more times, but Dead Ringers and Videodrome split the vote, which I feel like is such incredibly Canadian drama. I love it. And
Amazing.
Bloody Disgusting listed it as one of the top 10 horror movies based on true stories.
Wow.
It's also very much your favorite horror director's favorite horror type of case. It's been listed as a fave by both Park Chan-wook and John Carpenter. Park said, quote, there are two types of reporters. One who asks me about David Lynch and another who asks me about David Fincher. But my favorite David is Cronenberg, especially Dead Ringers.
Oh my God, stop it.
I love him.
That's amazing.
And John Carpenter listed it in his top 10 favorite Criterion releases and says that he loves how funny it is, which I strongly agree. Like, I also think on a second watch, there's a lot of humor in this movie.
I gotta get there.
Like, it is dark as hell, but man, there's some great jokes along the way.
Yeah.
And there was supposed to be an HBO TV adaptation in 2005 that Cronenberg was going to executive produce. That did not come to pass, but there was an Amazon Prime miniseries version in 2023.
Yeah.
It stars Rachel Weisz, who I love, of Mummy fame.
I was waiting for you to say something about that.
Of course.
Like, oh my God.
And I actually, though, I have not watched it because this is one of those unbelievably rare instances where I actually think gender swapping the main characters is a really bad idea because...
Oh, is that what they did?
Yeah, she's the one playing the two twins. She's Beverly and Elliot. And I'm like, I love Rachel Weisz. I love a character gender swap. I don't think for a film that is about men's misogyny towards women and discomfort with gynecology that is the right move to make for this project. Any other time, I love it, but not here.
Yeah, interesting.
Although, again, I haven't seen it. Could be amazing. And I did, I mentioned that I called in my Canadian friend for takes, and so I wanted to bring in one quote here as I'm closing out from Cole, my resident Canadian film expert, who I was like, what's your take on this film and your take on Cronenberg? And he says, Dead Ringers is the evil, lawful brother to Face Off. Which...
I haven't seen Face Off. I have no context.
Oh my
Trav
god.
laughed.
Yes, good.
Oh man, I'm not part of the joke.
So one day Al will watch Face Off and we'll understand. And the last note that I wanted to close on was I realized after watching that this is, in fact, birthday horror. Which
oh my god.
I did not really put together when I made this pairing for my birthday, but they sure do end by talking about it being their birthday and eating birthday cake, sadly. So
I didn't think about it either.
Yep.
Happy birthday to you.
I told Dana, I was like, I don't have the energy to drive to the store and buy a cake, but it would be so great if I had like just a slice of cake to end the episode as a bit with just like
if you pulled out a piece of cake out of nowhere to eat, I would have died.
So everybody imagined that I'd gone to that effort. I'm sorry that I didn't, but
yeah. Eat cake on Siena's behalf.
Thank you. Yes. So that's Dead Ringers.
Oh my god. So I didn't realize it was on like it was based on real twin. There's so many things. Twins being made at the same time with Arnold Schwarzenegger and Danny DeVito, and
yes,
that movie I saw as a kid. So it's like wild that this lived in like this parallel,
got partly
Cronenberg
funded
universe.
by it. Yeah,
like that's
like that was part of where he got the funding when the funding fell apart, was from selling the title Twins to Ivan Reitman.
Does anyone have merch where it's twins and then it's just
God.
like I need like a crossover like swap of these movies with merch, because that's so insane. Yeah, there's so many good it makes me, again, I want to rewatch with like context of that, but I don't know, like this one like it was just really devastating. These were just like such a devastating.
I'm so sorry. You're welcome. Listen, birthdays are weird.
Yeah. I mean, listen, birthdays are complicated in that way, but I'm so happy that you chose these for your birthday.
Thank you. I'm so happy we got to go on this journey.
Happy birthday to you. Anyone else celebrating too? Happy birthday to you if you're a June baby.
Everybody eat a slice of cake with your bare hands for me.
Listen.
That's all I request for my birthday.
That's the most free I feel like one could feel, is eating cake with a hand.
I don't think I've actually done that. So like maybe that needs to be my resolution this year. Eat some cake by hand.
By hand.
Hand cake.
Oh my gosh. These were
what a
quite I would say I can't say like, I mean, I did enjoy.
They're not fun. Like neither of these movies are fun horror.
I just feel like I was in a hole.
Yep, that's
with everything. So I need some like levity with horror a little bit.
Yeah,
I just
and we've got like a little bit, not a lot, but
I think the next ones are super fun. I love what we're doing next.
Well, I haven't seen either, so
listen, they're fun. Yeah. They're fun.
I'm very excited.
Original, little less fun. The other one has way more fun.
And it's funny because I was the one who suggested this actually, but
these were genius. I wanted to, I feel like we've done like a lot of like more thriller, a lot more serious. I feel like these ones do have, I mean, we've been talking about at least doing the original.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Are we giving ourselves a little bit easier of a task next week? Perhaps.
I think so.
The next,
or at least emotionally an easier task.
Yeah. Do you want me, you? Who wants to say?
I think you.
Oh my gosh.
Because you brought in our reference to one of our leads. So
Tim Curry. That was the hint. I had to bite my tongue there. But we are fine. I don't know when it came out, if I'm honest. We are finally
I've got it for
getting around to covering both the original and the remake of it. We get to dive into some clowns.
Yes.
So Killer Clowns was our last one that we covered.
Oh my god,
it is.
Clown, so this is It from 1990, which is the miniseries, which I will cover, and Al's is from 2017.
Yeah. And then are we doing on-air question? Am I doing 2017? They didn't both come out at the same time, did they? The part 1, part 2?
No, I think they came out separate years.
Am I doing both?
Question to you. What do you think is better? Because you've seen these and you...
Yeah, 2 years
Okay, Trav says
apart.
2 years, yeah. What do you think?
I'm probably gonna cover both-ish. Oh, no, did I just give myself more work? Because they're
Listen,
both...
I mean, like, if one's a mini series and one is like 2 movies, I feel... Well, I think,
Yeah,
I
I'm
feel like
probably
we
gonna do
should
both.
just because, like, the whole story
There's
you're only going to get into. Yeah.
crossover. There's
Yeah.
lots of actors.
It would
I'll
probably
weave
be
the
really
web.
hard to research just one, I think,
Yeah,
also.
yeah. And they're both, there's so much to talk about, I feel like, in both. So
Yeah.
we'll cherry
Well,
pick. I feel like, you know.
I'm so excited because part of the reason I suggested this is that friend of the pod and resident bird expert Devin was like, Sienna, why have you not read any Stephen King books? And I was like, well, Devin, I don't know where to start. And Devin was like, you need to start with It.
Devin's like, here's the biggest fucking one that I
Yes.
could recommend to you.
And so I've been color grading on my film while listening to the audiobook version of It. And I just finished it and I can't get it out of my head. And
how is the audio?
It's really good. It's
okay,
really,
I was
really
gonna
good.
say
Yeah.
that one would be a great, actually.
It was a great way to
audiobook
experience
listen.
it. Yeah. And it's
I
one
love that.
one reader, but he does a really good job of you know, making you feel like you're in different places with the perspectives of the different characters.
I kind of like when there's like, yeah, that's my qualm with audiobooks typically is like, I feel like a lot of people's voices just really bother me when it's like that intense, like especially telling a story. But I kind of love that it's like one person. That makes me more inclined to want to.
It was really good. It was really, really good. Yeah. And
that's nice to hear.
I was color grading very late at night at a couple points and listening to it at like
spooky.
2 in the morning was spooky. Yeah.
God, I can only imagine.
I'm very excited for that.
Yeah.
And oh, sorry, go ahead. Go ahead.
I'm so excited for you to see the original, really. So
it's about time, and especially because I know I said this off air, but Tim Curry, one of my earliest crushes. I feel like that's true for many of us. Yeah, just obsessed with the man. Can't get enough of him. So really excited to see him in killer clown mode.
Yeah, like truly the most like I was never like afraid of clowns. And then
either.
I remember my mom put this on one day and I was like, well,
now
discovered something new about myself. And I was terrified of showers for a really, really long time after seeing this. Like shower drains like freaked me out. And I can't think about it too much sometimes. So yeah, like whereas I feel like the remake is very like fun and different. There's nothing like Tim Curry in that role with that makeup. But like the actors they chose for both of these are just like so good. So I'm intrigued. I know the remake is talked about a lot just because like when it came about, I feel like
and because we just got It Welcome to Derry and
which I haven't watched yet.
And Star's one of my leads. So shout out to Morningstar. So I feel like we've been living on the outskirts of the itosphere for a while, and it's about time to put our clown shoes on.
Oh my God. I do carry a clown nose in every single purse.
Oh my God, you're so prepared.
It is my whimsy I carry with me. Is I always carry a clown nose because I think it's really funny. No
you're
one
down
knows.
To clown.
Yeah,
you're always down to clown.
Truly, I always have it there. There's really been no instance I've ever taken it out, but I just. On the off chance one day someone makes a joke, I put it on. I go, yeah. Is this a joke to you? Is my joke that I like to make when I put it on. So one day it will come in handy, and it will be a great bit for someone that barely knows me. So
if you don't show up with that nose on our next recording, I'm gonna be so sad, Al.
I know. I'm like, where's my purse? So I could, I do that. Yep, that's my joke. So hopefully we can I will wear it at least for some of the pod next time. But
good.
Well, I'm excited for those. Happy birthday, everyone! Say happy birthday to Sienna. I hope you have a lovely birthday week.
Thank you. I realized this one's my what's it called? Like your golden birthday? I'm turning 29 on the 29th, so it's whatever that thing is.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Oh, super special.
Yeah. So I don't know what I'm supposed to do for that, but that's a thing, I guess.
You gotta look something up. You have time.
Yeah, I've got a couple days.
You got some days. And thank you. You gave me a little treat on your birthday. So I feel I was gifted a new movie to love.
Good.
So I appreciate that.
you gifted me the opportunity to talk about Dead Ringers, so I am eternally grateful for
finally
that.
happened.
Yes, I finally got to bring my twin gynecologists out.
So fun.
So good.
Yeah, from there. Oh, yes.
Also, yes, giant shout out.
Yeah.
Yes, to our new supporter, Ann Weber. Thank you so much, Ann.
Thanks,
Every single
Ann.
one of you who joins us in helping us keep the podcast going, helping keep our little train chugging, means so much, and it makes such a difference. And it just like, I like go around like glowing for like a week every time we get a new person coming into the fold. So
yeah, it means a lot when you guys help
really
financially with us keep this. We want to like keep this alive, grow and expand, you know,
and give you our best work, and you help us do that.
Yeah. So it's always such a, I gasped very loudly to myself when I saw that. Yeah. So yeah, thanks to all of you supporting, all of you sharing, all of you following. It's always so
all of you commenting.
Lovely. Comments are amazing. You guys are like truly just so fun to see converse in comments. So please keep doing that. If you're shy and just you like to if you like to watch,
if you like perverts,
to watch, comment, because we really do enjoy the conversation that horror brings within our little nerdy facts. We all love nerding out about this stuff. So
yes,
appreciate you all very deeply. Yeah, I think
that's it. Yeah, I think that's it. Oh yeah, have a great rest of Pride Month, everybody. Do some gay stuff.
Go be gay, you big gays.
Go be gay, eat some cake with your hands, and have a good time. Those are my birthday wishes for you.
Don't have bro incest, please.
Oh God,
just don't do that. You know.
Yeah, leave that to Beverly and Elliot. They already did it better than any of us could.
Funny. Yeah, I'm excited for clowning around next episode.
Yes. I think
we can. Let's boogie out of here. Trav, thanks for keeping us on track today.
Thank you, Momager, and thank you to Theo Schaefer for the beautiful, creepy music playing us out. Thank you to all of you for listening, and thank you to Al for being such a wonderful co-host.
Oh, thanks you for being born.
Aww. Oh, that old thing?
That thing?
I've had that for years. That old birthday?
That old birthday?
And this has been Splice and Splatter, the film podcast where classic horror
meets modern gore.
And until next time, we'll be right back.